You guys know how it works. You disagree, you can go to the line. We'll have a great conversation here. And go Vols, everybody. Go Vols, right? All right. Yes, sir. Welcome.
All right. So in a video before, you've stated, why should we hate Russia? Do you believe that the invasion of the sovereign state of Ukraine is not enough to at least view them with anger and want to avoid a policy of appeasement through support of Ukraine?
First of all, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
It's kind of
yeah,
nervous to be
what
here.
Russia did was wrong, without a doubt.
Yeah. So do you not believe that we should continue monetary support to Ukraine?
No, I mean, a lot of countries do things wrong. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean we should be involved. I mean, Syria right now is killing a bunch of Christians. It's getting almost no press attention. There's a civil war right now in Africa that's getting almost no press attention. Not every conflict warrants American involvement. And right now, President Trump is trying to broker a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine, which is the right move. And our perspective as conservatives is as follows. The amount of money we spent on Ukraine is about $300 billion so far. And during Biden, we didn't spend any money on our own southern border while we were being invaded on a daily basis. President Trump is instead saying American borders matter a lot more than the borders of Russia and Ukraine.
So I definitely agree that the President of the United States should focus on America first. But I just feel that, and I agree that we should, honestly, I agree that Europe needs to up their spending for the defense of Ukraine because it's right on their border. But I think that no matter where it is in the world, supporting somebody who I would believe is doing the morally right thing is the right thing to do.
Okay, so that's a fair position. I guess the question is, at what point would you consider to be a success? Because right now Russia has more territory than it otherwise would have if we would have had a ceasefire a couple weeks in. When is it enough money to spend? We're at $300 billion. I mean, we're not willing to send U.S. troops, right? I mean, that would probably be a fair line.
Yeah, 100%.
So what would success look like?
That is a really hard question. I guess just the thing that I think of first is there's like that fear of, I think that a peace treaty would go in the favor of Russia. And while I don't think, like, if we continue the support, the war will continue, and that's more lives being lost. I just think that it's a hard middle ground to find. And I feel like Trump, especially with the meeting with Zelensky, just to the world shows more of a support to Russia than previous administrations.
So let me tell you how we view it. We thought Zelensky was completely out of line. By the way, do you like my Zelensky outfit, everybody? What do you think? I meant no disrespect to the University of Tennessee, but I thought I'd do my best Zelensky outfit. I'm a little taller, though, don't you think? I'm a little taller than Zelensky. I'm giving you a hard time. First and foremost, I won't nitpick too much, but I will say, if you do go into the Oval Office, you should wear a suit and tie. That's my own personal perspective. I understand his country's at war. That's just a little bit of a nitpicking, I'll be honest. I think that if you go into the sacred, and I've had the honor to go in the Oval Office a couple times, I think you should dress up in a suit and tie. I think it's just a basic common courtesy. But that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that Zelensky in that meeting, we believe, and I encourage you to watch all 40 minutes. You have, good. It started pretty tepid and then it heated up. And outside of Vice President Vance's back and forth on did you say thank you, there was this kind of insistence on Zelensky saying, no, we really don't want peace. We really don't, like, the idea of peace was almost a non-negotiable.
I mean, I think he views it, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine, please.
I feel like he views it as a surrender, and I think that's a fair position for him to take.
Yeah, well, so he has a choice. And America then has a choice. So Zelensky can keep on fighting. Here's some facts. The average age of a Ukrainian military member is 43 years old. They have basically destroyed the young men of their country. There's hundreds of thousands of young men that have died, millions that have fled their nation. The average age is 43. So they're doing conscripts of people in their late 40s and early 50s to go to the front lines. It's a meat grinder. So he can keep that going, but for what? To win back some land that you may or may not win. Then it's America's perspective. We come at the perspective that, number one, blessed are the peacemakers. Number two, what is good for our own country? And the Russian-Ukrainian war has been bad for us at every turn. We're losing the US dollar as the world reserve currency status. It is getting us further and further away from having a back channel to Russia. It's actually put Russia and China closer together. And finally, the amount of money spent. You guys in this audience, you are going to inherit a nation that is $35 trillion in debt, where we are sending money overseas and not securing over our own citizens. Peace would then hopefully limit that from some permanency. And I'll just say one final thing, and we can, disagree on this. It's easy to say it's a surrender, but it would be a victory for the United States to say that we're no longer sleepwalking closer and closer to a thermonuclear war with Russia. Because Russia is a nuclear armed power, and under Joe Biden, not under Trump, we had American-made missiles that were being launched into the interior of Russia. Imagine right now, everybody, if Russia was launching missiles into the interior of the United States. You opened up your question with a very fair, really good faith question. You said, why should we view Russia as an enemy? Let me give you more context to that. And I think this is where DC gets things totally wrong. While I don't like Russia, I don't like Putin, it's not a free society, I have no plans to ever move there or compliment them, I do think it's kind of weird the amount of money and attention that Russia gets when almost nobody in this audience has a friend that you've lost to the Russian government, but you do have a friend or a family member that has died because of the cartels and the Chinese Communist Party, with a fentanyl coming into our communities. And so a nation has to choose which enemies are you going to focus on, because we have a lot of them. Is it North Korea? Is it Iran? Is it Russia? Is it China? I think the Mexican drug cartels have done a lot more damage to the people of Tennessee alongside the Chinese Communist Party than the Russian Federation ever will. So therefore, end the war and focus on our true enemies, the Mexican drug cartels and the Chinese Party. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, just a reminder, if you guys disagree, you guys can work your way down. Yes, we have a disagreement and a poster and a visual here.
Oh, yeah, here's my visual. Hold on one second. And I have a petition. Raise your hand if you're progressive. No? We have one.
I love this school. This is a great school. I love this place. You don't have a lot of allies here.
It's going to be a tough crowd. Well, my name is Davin Damien. I am non-binary. I am here with the Alliance.
Hold on one sec. Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Guys, hold on one sec. So we outnumber, what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Davin.
We outnumber Davin. That's unusual on a college campus. However, let's do something that liberals never do to us. Let's give him, I think, courtesy. Courtesy that we don't give them. How about that? Okay. So is everyone cool with that? All right. So let's not heckle. Let's not interrupt. Let's be the ambassadors for freedom of speech. Cool. Okay. Please continue.
I must say thank you. Thank you for that, Charlie. So I'm here with the Alliance of Male Feminists defending women's bodies. My main question is, why are you so obsessed with legislating women's bodies? It seems like you've made it your life mission to remove the choice of the woman, and I just want to know why that is.
Okay, so your advocacy is male feminists for women's bodies, right?
Her body, her choice.
Got it. So maybe we can come to some common ground then, before we talk about abortion. Would you then agree with our position as conservatives that biological women should not have to share locker rooms with biological men? Because your position is all about her body, her choice.
I think for the sake of argument, I'll say yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
So let me again give you a further example.
Okay.
So therefore, you would agree that in sports settings, especially youth sports, but all sports, Tennessee's own Riley Gaines, for example, when she went to go compete at University of Pennsylvania and had to share a locker room with a biological man, that was wrong because her as a female should be able to have a private space without men coming in there, right?
Frankly, I'm an old school feminist, and so when I think of all this trans stuff, I think it's kind of wrecked us a little bit, and so I don't think you'll trap me with that. I think I'm
not
with
trapping.
You on that.
And by the way, I wish we had more people like yourself that would be willing to speak out, so you deserve credit for that.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
Okay.
Now, so we did find common ground on that. So now I want to actually approach the issue that you came here. So you're accusing me of wanting to
legislate women's bodies.
Okay, so do you mean legislate control over women?
Yeah.
Specifically with abortion?
Taking away her right to choose.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if I ask this question, the answer will be no. But you would say, does a mother have the right to kill her child?
Not kill, but what I'm trying to raise awareness right now is that we need to abolish child neglect laws because that forces women to use their bodies even with babies. Now, I'm not saying they should be allowed to kill babies, but I'm saying they should be allowed to let nature just take its course. For example, that I'm just saying, we are saying that it's survival of the fittest, and what I'm saying is I think that the MAGA fascists, I think you all are winning because you at least are trying to be consistent on the life issue. But what I'm saying is we need to be as progressive consistent. That's why I've got this petition here to get people to see that we must abolish child neglect laws if we're going to be consistent that it really is her body and her choice.
So I think you're doing a very good job exposing the hypocrisy of left. I could tell that this is a shtick, and I will say it's very effective, and I tend to agree with where you're trying to go. What he, they, them, whatever, is saying is the following, which is to abolish child neglect laws is the furthest extrapolation of a pro-abortion view. Which
that's consistent.
Of course, no, and I don't know what you actually believe, but your satire can sometimes lead you towards truth, and you should show show the poster. What he's saying, in a way, is that in order for the left, he doesn't actually believe this. This is a shtick. Yeah,
okay,
got
if
it.
you say
Fine.
so.
Yeah, but what he's doing is trying to prove a point that if you are pro-choice, then therefore you should also get rid of child neglect laws, because it means you actually don't care for the baby, whether it be in the womb or outside of the womb.
We are forcing women to use their bodies.
Sure, got it. So very good. Thank you, and best of luck with your petition. Next question. Disagreements welcome, and that was quite a dialogue. Okay. All right, everyone, give it a minute here.
As much as I agree with being a progressive liberal, a lot of liberals do not associate with that person, and that sounds rude, but I just want to say that that is not the stance of a lot of liberals. However, my statement / question is, would you agree / disagree that the Make America movement, Make America Great movement, again, MAGA movement, is a cult?
No. Why don't you explain to me and the audience what is a cult?
Of course. Okay. Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
Sure. I mean, you could take the Jonestown death cult, of which there was a charismatic leader that constantly lied people, and they took them out of everyday normal life and leads them towards ostracization and cutting off of family ties. Am I getting closer to describing
I will
the
read
Democrat
you,
Party?
According to the... No. What I'm talking about is MAGA. According to the Bethune Cook University website, characteristics of a cult include isolating members and criticizing them for leaving. Would you say that members of the MAGA movement will criticize others for leaving?
Well, yeah, I mean, but you guys criticize players that transfer out of the University of Tennessee football team. That's not a cult.
Okay, what about the absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability?
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that, like, what the leader says, the leader gets, basically?
Yes, Trump.
We have lots of disagreements in the MAGA movement. In fact, I'm more pro-life than the president is. In fact, a lot of people in this audience would have differing views maybe on where the president is at on Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or Russia. In fact, some people in this audience might say the president is not as pro-Second Amendment as they would like. I would argue that we actually have far more intellectual diversity in the MAGA movement than your traditional Democrat Party.
I see where you're going with this and stating that not every person who, I guess, supports Trump is fully supportive of him, but I'm saying the MAGA movement who will agree with him no matter what.
Well, I actually think that there's more depth and complexity to the MAGA movement than you would imagine. A lot of people here who would consider themselves to be part of the MAGA movement, they won't blindly sign on to everything that Trump does. However, they will say that they agree with him 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. And so I would say, though, you know what was a cult? What was a cult is what we lived during COVID. during COVID and allow me to build out the argument that no matter what the CDC or Anthony Fauci would say, you would have the little talking heads on television parrot it back, no matter how insane it was. We must close the schools, 6 feet to slow the spread, wear a mask while showering. Okay, I made that one up. But, I mean, the point being is that that far more had characterizations of what a cult would be than the traditional Make America Great Again movement.
Okay, but you could also argue the side that Fox News does the exact same thing, where they just regurgitate everything that the right media is saying, and people on the right will believe anything Fox News says. And I'm not defending CNN. I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect. I'm just saying that there is a movement of conservative people who support Trump who will do it no matter what.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get to where you have come to this opinion. I'm trying to understand it because I see something completely different.
I do not use CNN as my news source, by the way, just so you know.
Good for you. Apparently you haven't been in an airport recently because the only people that watch CNN is if you're walking through an airport. So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and by your own definition of a cult.
It's not my own. It's a
Okay,
legitimate
fine. So
educational
let me ask you a
definition.
question. A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Yes.
A cult would probably get people to do something that they know is wrong, even though they think they should do something as right.
Maybe, because
Okay.
some of these people are brainwashed into believing certain things that
For
they
sure.
don't actually agree
No,
with because
okay.
they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So, for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address to not applaud a kid with brain cancer, that is cult-like behavior? Because their leader told
Right.
them not to do it. I mean,
Well, who told them not to?
exactly. I mean, their leadership told
So
them.
who's their leader? If they're
Well,
a cult,
Chuck
then who's their
Schumer
leader?
or Hakeem Jeffries, they had strict orders, do not stand and applaud for anything Trump does. They told us this.
Yes.
And so then Trump says, hey, can we just have a moment of non-political? Here's DJ Daniel. He's dying of brain cancer. He's now a ceremonial member of the Secret Service. And every Democrat sat with their arms crossed, not even being able to show the humanity. I mean, that's a cult.
Okay. To respond to that, that is simply one example, and I'm sure you can pull a bunch other out. And I'm not saying that what the Democratic Party did that night was correct. I believe that what they were doing was standing against Trump's hypocrisy and his narcissism and his way of like making himself look good by using other people who are marginalized to make himself look good.
So here's my suggestion, and take it for whatever it's worth. Calling the opposition political movement a cult when the other one that you happen to be more allied with is obviously much more of a cult is not helpful.
Okay, then tell me. Tell me how it's a cult. Tell me how the Democratic
Okay,
Party
how
is a
about
cult
this?
compared to MAGA.
I'll give you another I mean, you asked me for more examples.
Yes.
The day of the State of the Union address, all 22 Democrat senators repeated the very same video on social media, mindlessly like robots.
What video?
The video where they said, something is effing out of control and this is not right. You guys all saw that video. Repeating the same incantation with not even like an iota of creativity or ingenuity, like just repeating it like as if they've been hypnotized into a... Got it.
I have not seen that video.
Well, you should. But again, I'm not even the one that is up here throwing around the cult word towards the Democrat Party. I just think it's a supremely rich accusation to say the MAGA movement is part of a cult, when evidently, based on the own standard that you put forward, the Democrat Party embodies those characteristics far more than Republicans or conservatives ever have or ever will.
So one of the main aspects of a cult is a leader, a charismatic leader that people will follow blindly no matter what. The leader of the MAGA movement is Trump. Who are you stating the leader of the Democratic Party is that people will follow blindly without questioning no matter what?
Well, I mean, there's...
And I'm hearing tons of different examples, so that can just tell you there's not one.
Okay, again, so It could be Obama. It could be Rachel Maddow. I mean, the point being is that I don't even think it's the strongest argument to call either party a cult. That's not why I'm up here. I'm simply just playing the same frequency that you're coming at, that based on the definition, the Democrat Party is far more mindless and far more of a Borg, to use a Star Trek analogy, than the Republican Party or the conservative movement. And so, but here's something I do want to ask, though. If you are positing that it is a cult, do you think this entire audience is part of a cult and they don't realize it?
I think that my statement was the Make America Great Again movement is a cult. I'm not saying the Conservative Party is. I'm saying the far-right MAGA movement is a cult. I will say that I believe in my heart that there are certain people in this group who could be characterized as someone who is in a cult.
Okay. I mean, I think that's insane. And I'm not here to give Democrats advice, but it's so destructive to our politics to call people that just won a national electoral landslide and the national popular vote as part of a cult. Maybe instead it should be, maybe they have better ideas than we do.
Maybe they just... Maybe they had billions of dollars to put into their campaign funding that got them the awareness.
Hold on. I mean, you seem well-intentioned. So who spent more money in this election, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? It's not even close. It's 3-to-1 more money was spent by Kamala and her affiliated super PACs than Donald Trump.
Do you have the numbers?
Yeah, you can go to opensecrets.org. You can look at all the outside groups, the hard money that Kamala raised, the super PACs that they raised. Democrats, by the way, do you know that 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America vote Democrat? Do you know the wealthier you are in America, the more likely you are to be a member of the Democrat Party? That the more, if you work with your hands and you don't graduate from college, that you're less likely to be a Democrat. Now, one of your fellow cult members just screamed at me from the audience saying, well, that's because, they're so educated. Do never conflate everybody, credentials, with an education. Just because you have a lot of degrees does not mean you have the most important thing, wisdom. Wisdom is different than a credential. Now, I could tell that you're coming after this from a good perspective. So my last homework assignment for you is this. I want you to go find 5 people with a MAGA hat once this event is over and talk to them. And then I want you to say what you said to me. I want you to first accuse them of being in a cult, because if you can say it to me, you can say it to them.
Sure.
And then I want you to have a good faith conversation, because we are not going to bring this country together, of which is actually our goal here as part of the MAGA movement, which is why we have an open mic. If you go around accusing people as if we're following Charlie Manson.
You just did the same thing to me.
Well, in all fairness, I said, if this is the standard of our dialogue right now, the Democrat Party is far more of a cult than the Republican Party. That is not a contention that I throw around lightly, but it is, you satisfy the requirements way more than the MAGA movement does.
You haven't asked me enough questions to know that.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I've said.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
you haven't asked me if I would blindly follow some leader of the Democratic Party, which is no, I would only follow if I do the in-depth research of an unbiased source to get my information, and then I base my opinion off of that.
Fair enough. Can you give me an example of an unbiased source?
I mean, like Mayo Clinic or just like any EDU source of college information.
I'll end this. If that's your idea of a biased source.
Off the top of my head.
I would encourage you to dig deeper and be more of a free thinker.
And I will, and I am a free thinker. And I grew up in a conservative household, and once I left my parents and their beliefs, and I moved to college in a very conservative state, I actually become more progressive.
Okay, and so how is your relationship with your parents?
I mean, it's fine. We don't agree on most things, but...
Wait, so they didn't kick you out for having a different opinion? They're terrible cult members. Wait, they still love you for who you are, and... do they pay your tuition?
Nope.
Okay,
I pay my own tuition. I pay everything on my own.
Well, good. Then they're even better parents. They make you pay for your own stuff. The point. So you can't even point to your own family as being part of a cult. They still love you. They still talk to you.
I would go as far to say, and if they're watching this, I do believe that my parents are in a cult. But
Do you understand how damaging that is? To go around to say the people who raised you and nurtured you and brought you into the world that you're a cult because some professor told me the definition of a cult in an anthropology course.
Nope. You're wrong.
All right. Thank you.
It was nice to talk to you, though.
Thank you for your time. Okay. Silence.
Okay, thank you. Hi. So I'm not technically, I don't go to UT, and I'm not the legal age to vote yet. And my parents are divorced, and both of my parents have separate political views. My mom's conservative, and my dad's a liberal. And my mom is always kind of pushing me to bring politics into my life. And I was wondering, A, should I care? And if I should, why? And which parent should I lean more towards?
Got it. So did you say mom's liberal?
Mom's conservative.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's opposite I would have thought. Okay, so I see you have a shirt here that says, whom shall I send? Here I am, right?
Yes.
Which I love. That is the Hebrew word Hineni, which appears many times throughout the scriptures. When Abraham, the binding of Isaac, Moses at the burning bush, the call of Isaiah, the call of Samuel. Every believer here in the audience, by the way, the most important thing is to bring Jesus into your life. Let me just make sure I say that. Most important thing. It's way more important than politics. It's the most important thing.
Amen.
And so I encourage every believer out here to learn what that word Hineni means. It means, Lord, use me, send me. And I could tell you're probably going through a trial right now because your parents are separate and it's not easy. So the scriptures are very clear about this. Christianity has a heavy emphasis on honoring your parents. Now, to contrast that with the prior questioner, I don't think she's doing a good job of honoring her parents because she's accusing them of being in a cult.
Yeah.
Even, this is very important, everybody, even if your parents share values and views and a worldview that you do not have, you are biblically obligated to honor them, which means to spend time with them and to love on them and to go visit them. Even if they are wearing a Black Lives Matter and in this home that we have no hate and trans lives, you still go and spend time with your parents. Because if you are incapable, in this case, of honoring your earthly father, you will never honor your heavenly father. And it's very clear in the 10 Commandments, and then I'll get down to the specific advice. In the 10 Commandments, it is the only commandment, honor your mother and father so that you may live long in the land of which you are in. It is the only commandment that deals with a promise and your country. You will cease to have a strong country, America, if we do not have kids honoring their parents. Everyone out there, every day, you should call your parents on a weekly basis. I know college exists a lot of the times to separate children from the parents. They want to try to separate you from your upbringing. Your parents aren't cool, they don't understand you, they don't share your values. The closer that you stay with your parents, even though you have disagreements, the better you will be and your nation will be. Now, to your personal advice. Find out what you believe and why you believe it. If a parent ever tells you to do something that is sinful or goes against God, that is a violation of what it means to honor them. It doesn't mean you have to blindly obey them, but you must honor them, which really means to treat them heavily, basically to treat that with a lot of weight. I would instead be close to both of them. It's a very difficult situation. You're going to grow up a lot quicker because of it, and come to your own independent political views and let them be known to each appropriate parent.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard. So how would I express the different views to, say, my mom or my dad?
Well, your view should be the same regardless of who you're talking to. So I think you're not old enough yet to vote, so you're still searching. So instead, I wouldn't even take strong political views. I would say, Mom and Dad, I don't want to talk politics. I just want to talk the Bible. It's not a political thing. It's a biblical thing. That would be my advice to you. So every time it comes up, like, oh, you should support Trump. Oh, you should hate Trump. Say, you know what? Can we just talk things from Scripture? Always go back to fundamental Scripture when you're talking to your parents. And when you do that, it can be very disarming. And then you both have something to appeal to. You have a greater truth that then you're able to look at, appeal to, and hopefully, get you through this difficult chapter. God bless you. You want a hat?
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Who has a disagreement? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. We'll go here, and then we'll go to...
Can you hear me okay? Hi, how are you? So, my name is Talise. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I'm technically a Democrat, but I have very conservative views because I'm faith-based all the way. So, I have a question, which is also kind of a disagreement, but I want to build it up, okay? So, of course, you just said Jesus is the most important thing for everyone out here. And so, can you please explain to everyone out here what Jesus stood for, and especially the qualities of love, how to love your neighbor even if they don't agree with you?
So what is your name again?
Talise.
Talise, that's a beautiful question. I'm glad you came up to ask it. But I want to also just add something, because you're right. Jesus fully embodied two things simultaneously that showed his divine and his godly nature, because not that Jesus said good things. Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, and Jesus is God, on top of just being a guy with a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
So John 8, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, best embodies both Christ's mercy and love, but also his commitment to truth. And sometimes in the modern gospel, we overemphasize the grace and we underemphasize the truth.
Yeah.
And so
I
we
agree.
are far too willing to say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, but we don't get to the second part of the conversation that says Jesus doesn't want you to live in sin.
I
So
agree.
this is, in John 8, it's best embodied, right? Almost every Christian in this audience will be able to tell you the first part of this, which is a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees who are standing around with rocks, and they're about to stone the prostitute woman. And Jesus comes up and says, let the first among you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone starts dropping the rocks. But what comes next shows that Christ is not just grace-focused, he's simultaneously truth-focused. He goes up to the woman who had a career in selling herself for sex and said, sin no more. Now, imagine today how much trouble you would get in if you would go up to somebody and say, stop sinning. Oh, you're being too judgmental. No, you're actually being Christ-like. So Jesus stood. He was 100% grace and truth. And that tension is very hard in a modern world, because we want to overemphasize grace when in reality Christ loves us too much to have us continue to live in sin. He wants us to try to elevate our actions to glorify God in all that we do.
I agree 100%. And so to build on my question, I really want to talk about DEI. And so with our Christian, I will agree with you a lot of, I read the Bible for myself, so I knew what that scripture said. But my question is, how can Christian teachings on love, equity, and justice inform and shape discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion in today's society? And so to also, Jesus hung out with sinners. He did not judge. He told the truth. And so I think that a lot of people in society today, when we talk about political views that are opposition, we judge them because we think, oh, because you voted for Trump, you agree on everything, when that's not the case, right? And I want you to talk about that. Also
Very
with
good.
DEI.
So, and then I'll connect it to DEI, and I'm going to make a case. I don't know if it'll be persuasive to you, why I think DEI is unbiblical, and I'm going to try to make that case. Okay.
Yeah.
But first, let me comment on your astute point, which is that Christ wants us to be around people that are not like us. This is why I go to college campuses, but more and more I go to college campuses and I'm getting a lot of big crowds. So it's kind of unusual. I used to go here and get heckled and have very small crowds. But let me demonstrate this in an unusual way. Almost every person in this audience would say Christ wants us to be salt and light. Now, what are the two characteristics of salt and light? They change the environments that they come in contact with. Yes. They do not affirm. They do not conform. They change for the better. It's very important, everybody. We as Christians are called to change the environment that we come in touch with. Now, as far as DEI and why I believe it's unbiblical, now I'm going to go down to just the academic textbook definition of DEI. Okay. You might have a different idea of what DEI is. You might have a different perspective. I'm willing to hear that. But the actual textbook definition, as authored by people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell, as it came out of critical theory, is essentially this, is that instead of having a goal of race blindness, they want a goal of race obsession and race consciousness, that we should talk about race more, not less. I believe the scriptures tell us firmly in many different verses that I could quote, but one in particular, when the Apostle Paul wrote, he said, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, but we are all one in Christ Jesus. Essentially stating that racial differences are indifferent, or mean nothing to the Almighty God. All that matters to God is not black or white or Republican or Democrat. It's saved or unsaved are the only things that matter to Christ Jesus. So therefore, and let me finish the point, what DEI does through hiring practices, racial quotas, and many other different ways that I could list is that it has an emphasis on things that the Bible does not categorize as important. In fact, it says the exact opposite, that we should only care about character and the soul of an individual, not the melanin content in their skin.
So I agree. Well, I actually don't agree, because in Acts 2, it talks about how when the Holy Spirit came upon the apostles and when the Holy Spirit came into the region, that a lot of people who spoke different tongues, that they could understand each other. And I think when we talk about the Bible and we talk about the spread of the gospel, you see that these people are going to different regions, not only learning about their culture, but adapting so that they could, again, spread the gospel. And I think that it's important. And I think people get confused that DEI is only about race. It's about learning somebody's background. I'm not from a state. I'm from a territory. DC is not a state. However, DC is majority black. But black experience in DC is completely different from black experience in the South. So if you're going to stereotype a black person, you can't, because black people, I would say people everywhere, a white person from the North is different from a white person from the South. So it's about talking to people and learning different perspectives, and I think the removal of DEI doesn't do that.
Okay, so I don't want to debate it too much. I will say that.
But that was my perspective.
Fine,
That's my
and I'm happy to send you a lot more literature to look at it. What DEI means in practice is the vehement, hostile treatment of white, straight men to no longer be in institutions and to be actively discriminated against. You don't have to agree on that, but that's what it looks like in practice. Is that, and I will prove this allow me to prove this in the best way I can. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but do you think Friedrich Nietzsche used to say that every society has a central piety that you cannot touch, something you're not allowed to make fun of. Are you allowed to make fun of white men or black people more easily in America?
You shouldn't do either.
Which one will get you fired?
Making fun of a black man.
Okay, so, but what if you make fun of a white person? Will that get you fired?
It could get you fired too.
Probably not. Actually, it'll probably get you a professorship at your local university. You know I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know.
What I'm getting at is that the influence of DEI have actually inverted the piety away from the promise of what MLK said, which was race blindness, towards race obsession. What you are talking about is very admirable, which is understanding people's backgrounds. We're just going to not even disagree. I don't necessarily have time to build out what DEI has meant in practice. And what the problem with DEI is, it's taken a lot of well-meaning people like you and then taken you along to support it, when in practice it's something completely and totally different. But here's something I will encourage you to do as a Christian.
Okay.
Care less about people's shared racial experience and look at them instead of just as their soul, as God made them. We should try to strive towards a blinder race nation, not one that talks about skin color all the time.
I agree 100%.
And I think DEI does make us talk about skin color more.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Very
you.
sweet question. Thank you. Yes, sir. And the student question goes to, I'm kidding.
Yes, I'm sort of crashing the party, but I was invited up here by a student. Okay, so I'm glad to be an American. I'm glad to live in this country. As far as I know, there's no better country. And part of that is that we don't prosecute people for things they did before it was illegal. Now, my question is, well, first off, I'll state the law is to, first off, inform people. Secondly, persuade them. And thirdly, to
You're going to talk about pro-life laws and potentially criminalizing women that get abortions, right?
Right. And my question
No,
is,
I'm 10
why-
steps ahead of you. Got it. So let me tell you my position because we only have so much time, right?
My question for you is, why are you against abolition?
Okay, no. So actually, I am for the abolition of abortion. But let me tell you why I personally say if an abortion law was passed, I don't think it would, A, be the right thing under the current way that abortion is practiced in America to say that if a woman gets an abortion, she should then go to jail. Let me tell you why. It's because the way abortion is practiced in this country, women are not given informed consent. They do not know a lot of times what they are doing when they get an abortion. Now, that it's a very important distinction. In order to criminalize somebody, you need, in the criminal statute, not the civil statute, you need intent, right?
Right.
So-
And the law would cover that.
Yes, so this is I think, a largely unhelpful, very far distant hypothetical that does a couple things. Not only do I disagree with it, but individuals like yourself are going around saying that we should put women in prison if they get abortions.
And there's nothing that says what the punishment would be.
Okay, but however, let me just pause and say, how about first, can we at least agree the people doing the abortions, like the abortionists, they should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. We can agree on that. And so I don't want to spend too much time on this. My perspective is very simple, that if you do not have informed consent, then I have a very hard time using the criminal code to go after an individual.
Our justice system doesn't work like that. If there was not intent, then the justice system says you weren't a criminal.
Okay, then we agree then. Then therefore it shouldn't go after those individuals. If you can't prove intent, then it should not go after those individuals.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time. I got to get to the next question.
Right.
Thank
but
you.
We should have laws against it.
Thank you very much. Who has a disagreement? Anybody? You have a Trump hat on, but yeah, you got a rainbow shirt. How about you? So yeah, I'm kidding.
Billy String
No,
shirt.
I'm kidding.
But, okay.
I'm giving you a hard time. Thank you, and everyone please be respectful.
All right, Charlie, I have a question for you. So, as a Christian, how do you justify campaigning for someone who was found civilly liable for sexual abuse?
Well, first of all, we as conservatives believe that that was like a Moscow show trial. It made no sense. How much about the trial do you know?
I've read some of the witness transcripts.
Yeah. So the main accuser is a woman by the name of.
E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah, exactly. And she said the following: "A rape is sexy." She said that on air, right? She couldn't remember the time, the date, or the year that the incident happened. And even Anderson Cooper said this is not a credible witness that should be taken seriously. But let's pretend you're right, because I don't want to get too far into the details. But let's pretend that President Trump was guilty of sexual abuse. Is there any example of somebody in the Bible that was guilty of doing something bad that still was after God's own heart? This is the Bible Belt, but yes, the question is for you.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, David would be the most obvious. So how much do you know about the example of David and Bathsheba? Probably not a lot, right? So David one day woke up and he was in charge of the Israeli army. I believe it was Uriah, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, right? And Uriah was like the head infantry commander. Uriah had a wife, very beautiful, by the name of Bathsheba. Bathsheba woke up one day and was very provocatively showering for all to see. And David lustfully said, "I want that." In fact, not only did he say, did he want that, he then commissioned Uriah to the front lines of a battle to then basically get Uriah killed. Basically saying, I'm going to kill your husband so that I could be with Bathsheba. He does that, he dies, he then weeps terribly, and God even draws him closer to him in this very, very difficult, mysterious story. A second example, of course, would be Samson. Samson is found in the book of Hebrews in the Hall of Faith. Samson lived such a colorful life that God came to him when he was in a prostitute's bed. But God called Samson for a purpose greater than his and used the jaw of a donkey to go kill, thousands of Philistines. What I'm getting at is we are all sinners that fall short of the glory of God, and God can use imperfect vessels for righteous and good causes, of which I think he used Donald Trump to help save the country.
Okay. So you said that. So you think the court case was a witch hunt?
Yes, I think that case was absolutely a witch hunt. And
So were the jurors, specifically the ones who found Tim liable, were they part of that?
So it's very important that this was a civil case, not a
Right.
criminal case. This never reached the threshold where any criminal prosecutor wanted to bring this because they thought the evidence was so shoddy. But yes, the jurors got this wrong because they were all suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. This
Really?
was a New York City-based jury, and of
Who
course they
picked
were
the jury?
They were New York City-based.
Well, yeah, but who picked the jury?
Well,
Trump's lawyer.
Well, no, that's not true. They have input on
No,
the jury
that's how-
selection.
yeah,
but they get 3 strikes. Those strikes were used. The judge was hardly fair. Again, I'm happy to go into all the individual minutes, but let's use reason. Can I be a little provocative on this for a second, guys? Okay. And I'm gonna try to prove you wrong using a little provocation, and I'm gonna be politically incorrect. Is that okay? All right. Trigger warning. Okay. So let me understand this. Here is the world's wealthiest man. One of the world's wealthiest men, worth like $10 billion. He's got a show on the NBC Apprentice. He's literally married to a supermodel. He can have any woman on the world. And I'm supposed to believe at 2 p.m. In a Tiffany's store, he walks in and rapes E. Jean Carroll, who is not exactly a supermodel, and risks his entire fortune, of which there is no accusation for 20 years, but he pops up and runs for the president, and all of a sudden she says, this guy raped me, even though I can't remember the day, the month, the year, 2 p.m. in a department store at Tiffany's while he was at the height of his career. I'm sorry, that's complete rubbish and political nonsense.
Well, so there was a law in New York up until 2022, before 2022, or during 2022, there was a law passed called the Abuser, I can't remember the name, Protection Act or something like that, and it removed the statute of limitation, which was 1 year for civil cases for sexual abuse. So that's how she had to wait so long until 2022.
But she did not voice the accusation publicly till he ran for president, which she did in 2017, 2018. Second, the trial itself was financed by Democrat donors. Thirdly, this is such a superfluous conversation. He's president of the United States. He won. We won. The American people saw this and did not care. So maybe we could talk about issues that are happening right now, not some fake accusation from 30 years ago.
Okay.
Anyone disagreements? Yes, ma'am. Again, anyone in the crowd, you can work your way up if you disagree. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I have 2 main points I want to talk about. So first off, I want to know your opinion on January 6th and the pardoning of... Okay.
No, that's a legitimate question.
Okay.
The pardoning's a legitimate question.
What's your opinion on that?
Everyone should be pardoned.
Okay, here is my thing I'm going to say about that. My father is a police officer, so if you're saying that someone injures him or kills him in the line of duty, I should support pardoning them?
So actually, that's not my position. My position is very simple.
You just said your position is everyone should be
Well,
pardoned.
hold on. Allow me to finish. I said everyone should be pardoned, but not because of what they were accused of doing, because they were deprived of due process. And here's the kicker, that the January 6th defendants were put in pretrial detention for nearly 2 years, many of whom were not given attorney representation. One attorney in particular made his defendant go watch videos saying that MAGA is brainwashing you and say, go unbrainwash yourself before the trial. A complete violation of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment. What I'm getting at, though, is that would you agree with the premise that if the tree is rotten, the fruit will be rotten?
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Well, it's a
all.
metaphor.
No, my turn. So
I didn't
want to
hear what you
know.
said, but yeah.
I want to know if you think that what they did, storming the Capitol, in your opinion, is that right or wrong? Yes or no?
Well, it depends.
Yes or no?
So they were only
Yes or no?
peacefully
Yes or
storming
no?
the cap. Hold on a second.
Please just yes
Peacefully-
or no. That's yes or no.
Well,
Do you agree
hold on a
that
second.
it's a good thing that they did or a bad thing?
Can I?
Yes or no?
Can you?
You can answer yes or no.
Well, yes, and I'm answering it. Yes, because not everybody did that. So, for example, Siaka Massaquoi took 3 feet into the Capitol, said a prayer, and went out. Do you agree he should be hunted down by federal officials for 3 years and face 10 years in federal prison? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer. Yes or no? Okay, so you say yes. Got it. So, but however, I think what happened on January 6th, there was a lot of stuff I don't support. However, they were treated so terribly by our own government as political prisoners. Here is the truth. Even if you go do something as evil as shoot up a school, you deserve 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment protection rights. These January 6th defendants did not get their basic constitutional rights protected. They literally had to sleep on the ground of the D.C. jail as January 6th gulags You look at these pictures, they had to go sleep on like the floor with no food for days, acting as if that this was some sort of Moscow internment camp. What President Trump did was very simple. This was a statement towards the justice system. You guys did not treat these people, who some of which did very bad things, with basic constitutional due process rights. It was a pardon wiping the slate clean, saying even the person who does the grossest thing should be able to have the same rights of due process and the presumption of innocence of somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. That's the position of the pardons.
So exactly what you just said to me, I'm going to use your words. If someone shoots up a school, they should be pardoned if they do not get due process.
No, I said if someone shoots up a school, they deserve a lawyer. And someone shoots.
But if they do not get one, they should be pardoned.
Hold on, that's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
No, if someone
Amendment.
shoots up a school, they deserve to have a lawyer the same way as if someone runs a traffic light. This is a basic human right. And these January 6th defendants did not have their human rights respected by the Biden Department of Justice. That is what these pardons are all about. It's not about the merits of what they did or did not do. Many of which, by the way, is largely exaggerated because 1,000 people peacefully walked into the people's house, said prayers, took pictures, and walked out. And the FBI sent on them as if they're narco drug criminals and cartel members. Many of them did absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, the police actually showed them around the interior of the Capitol. Many of the police officers said, hey, would you like to go look in this part of the Capitol? Would you like to look in this part of the Capitol? By the way, how many police officers were actually killed on that day?
Is it peaceful to
Zero.
hurt a police officer? Is that what you're saying?
I don't support.
You're saying
of course,
it's peaceful to hurt police officers
only a couple
and give them
dozen
mental
out of the
trauma
1,800
that they will have for the rest of their life. That's peaceful. Is what you're saying.
36 individuals out of 1,800 criminal indictments actually laid hands on a police officer.
But they should be pardoned, is what you're saying.
Not because of what they did or they were accused of, because they were never given a fair hearing. Let me give an example. A young man who was part of the scuffle pushed back on somebody that he did not know was a police officer. He was facing 15 years in federal prison and never had an opportunity to defend himself in federal court, because his lawyer sucked and the judge hated him and he was never given due process or the opportunity to look at what is a very basic constitutional right, look at all of the January 6th footage, which many of which is still under seal. So what the pardon is actually a pardon saying our justice system will never be perverted for political aims again. I'm not saying I support the attacking of police officers. I am saying we must keep the American justice system the best on the planet, unlike what Joe Biden and Merrick Garland did the last 4 years. Thank you.
I have another question.
Okay.
So, how many phases are in the menstrual cycle? Do you know?
Well, I'm not a woman, so enlighten me.
So there's 4 stages of the menstrual cycle, okay? Ovulation, I'm going to go in order. Menstruation, follicular, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During which of those phases can a woman be pregnant? When can she get pregnant? Which of those phases?
During ovulation.
And luteal, yes. So I already know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
So I know the answer to this question. Have you ever had a menstrual cycle before?
No.
Okay, great. So knowing that, and you just saying, I don't know the phases of the menstrual cycle, which I don't blame you for being, you don't have that. So then, knowing this, you don't know everything about the female reproductive system, how are you going to make legislation to hurt women and women's rights?
Are men allowed to have opinions on abortion?
You can have opinions on abortion, but what I'm saying is, how are these men going to create this legislation?
Got it. So, men are allowed to have opinion on moral matters too, right?
Right.
Got it. So if I was a male OBGYN, is it okay for that person to make issues of legislation?
Well, they're educated. They understand. They are
okay.
educated on the female reproductive system, so they can.
So if I don't know everything intimately about the female reproductive system, sit down and shut up, you're a man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You can have an opinion.
That's kind of what
It's
you're
all
saying.
right if you have an opinion. I'm saying it's not all right if you don't understand how the female reproductive system works.
Let's pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before? That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Scrambled, yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. You understand that it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But Your point,
So,
the whole
so
point you're making
well,
is
hold
that
on. So,
a
but no.
baby.
Since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the 4
Hold on, no,
cycles.
so tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am a woman, so yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but the point being is we could both go back and forth of like independent trivial facts when it comes to the woman's reproductive system. But here's something we all know, because God wrote this on the human heart of every individual, as it says in the book of Romans. We know deep down it's wrong to murder a baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's not a baby.
Okay, well let's play this out. What is it then?
It is an embryo, which is not a baby.
Well, okay, so it's a fertilized embryo.
Correct, which
right.
is not a baby.
So at what point does it become a baby?
When it is born.
Oh,
I don't agree with abortions up to full-term abortions.
well, hold on, but you said it becomes a baby when it's born.
Yes.
Then why would you have abortion limits before it's born? I thought it's just an embryo. So embryo rights?
No, the embryo rights aren't a
But
thing.
then
because it's not
where
a
would you
person.
draw a line for abortion then, and why, and under what moral standard?
There are medical reasons not
No,
to have an
no,
abortion
no,
for
that's
full
not the
term.
question. That's not
Yes,
the
it is.
question.
You just asked me why would I not have an abortion full term for medical reasons.
Okay, so at 29 weeks, the baby is nearly fully developed, can recognize the mother's voice, has a heartbeat, has brain waves. Is it okay to abort that baby?
I don't like. It's not okay, but you're gonna say it's okay to have an abortion then. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. It's not okay to have an abortion ever. How
Correct.
about like 3
Yes.
weeks in?
Correct. No
Right.
abortion. Correct.
Why?
Well, because your life started at conception.
It did not, though. It
Well-
did not.
Well, hold on. So let's play this out. So who are you as an individual? From your skin color to your eye color to your likes, your dislikes, from your temperament to your everything.
I am not an embryo. I'm a person.
Hold on a second. But it started with something called deoxyribonucleic acid. And your own individual DNA started at the point of egg and sperm meeting. That's where your journey started. And so from that point in particular, life begins. Not at birth, not at first words, not at first steps, but when your DNA, which is who you actually are. You are your DNA. Every one of your DNA cells is coded XX or XY. It's coded with all of your unique characteristics and attributes that we believe God individually curated for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It happens at conception.
What happens if you need a medical abortion? If the mother
Okay.
will die if she does not get an abortion? What's your stance on
the
that?
only place where medical abortion is necessary is before 20 weeks, which is
What
incredibly
if she
rare.
will die? What if the mother
Hold
will
on a second.
die?
So let's take for example, like this is a very important question. Let's say it's 27 weeks, okay? And the mother will die. Why shouldn't, you could agree, why don't we just have the baby delivered by cesarean section? You know what a cesarean section is, right?
Yes.
What is a cesarean
A
section?
C-section?
Yeah, why wouldn't we just put the baby out by C-section instead of terminating it?
Because if the mother will die,
No,
it's not safe
but
to
you,
do that.
You remove the baby.
I understand.
Threat removed.
I know what a C-section
But
is.
it's actually safer than an abortion. So every time they say, this is for you guys, they say, oh, you need to have abortion for medical reasons, respond, then have a C-section.
What if you're not able to have a C-section? What if you are on your deathbed, you need to have an abortion right now?
Well, again, but
And it's illegal. You
guess what?
can't, so
Yeah,
you
actually,
have to die.
First and foremost, C-section is safer, C-section is quicker, and a C-section saves both lives. A C-section
The
takes...
baby is already dead, you just said.
No, but even... No. Hold on a second. You're saying if the baby's already dead, then it isn't even an abortion, right? Then you're talking about a removal of a carcass, which is a completely different medical operation.
So you're saying that's okay if you're
Well,
having...
If you're wait, hold on. If you're removing a carcass of a baby, that is not an abortion, by definition.
It's the same process.
No, it's completely different. During an abortion, they actually inject the spinal fluid with cyanide poisoning as the baby squirms and tries to find its mother, and it is gasping for air of life. Have you ever watched an abortion? It is
Have
one
you?
of the... Yeah, actually I have. And I encourage every human being to watch one to know what you are fighting against. Because when you see abortion, you will have your life will be changed. That we allow the massacre of 1.5 million babies a year under the guise of woman reproductive health. We are allowing babies every single year to just say, you know, we're going to discard them. Why? Oh, they're smaller. They're not humans. You're using dehumanizing language saying, oh, it's an embryo. No, that's a baby made in the image of God, deserving of protection.
What do you do with those children once they're born into a bad household?
So now we've transitioned to, like, what do you do with the kids?
Right.
Glad we're past the other part of the argument, okay? What do you do with them? You know there's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are abortions every single year?
And they're still on the list. So you want to send a child into an orphanage?
Well,
Is that what you want for a child? Is that a good life for a child?
No, I'm not advocating that. In fact, I'm advocating to make it easier to be able to adopt, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as an unwanted child. Number three, it is never right to justify the mass elimination or termination of people under the guise of saying they're unwanted. That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not. I don't
It's
think it is.
45 million babies. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust. What's the moral difference between a small baby in the womb and a grown Jew who was killed at Auschwitz? What's the moral difference? One is older?
Is a person.
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human, but
Therefore,
it's an
they should have
embryo.
human rights.
No,
They should have human rights.
I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans, no human rights. Grown humans,
It's
human
not
rights.
a small human. It's an embryo.
You just said it was a human species.
It's not a living
it doesn't,
human child.
Wait, it's not a what?
It's not a child.
But
it's not a living child.
It has a heartbeat. It has
that
brain
does
waves.
not make it a child.
But tell me when it becomes a child then.
I already told you, when it is born.
Again, so under every other objective definition, you see guys how quickly the pro-abortion arguments fall apart with just the slightest questioning? But our position is one rooted not in feelings, not in personal autonomy, but one in biological consistency and reality. That your life had an agreed upon starting point, that starting point should be protected and preserved. And the excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is. So here are the big objections. Size. It's smaller than me, then I should be able to get rid of it. I'm 6'5". Should I be able to murder people smaller than me? Of course not. You don't believe that. Level of development. Oh, it's not as progressed as, this is your argument. It's not as progressed as we are, therefore we have rights over it. So my 10-month-old baby, why should I not be able to eliminate my 10-month-old baby?
I have another question for you. On the line of this, you will never be able to have an abortion, right? You will never be able to have an abortion. You will not, okay? It's a fact. Everyone knows that, okay? I'm not debating that at all.
Okay, make it quick. You can tell the audience is, yeah, but go, yeah.
If I were to be pregnant right now and forced to have a baby, that would ruin my life.
This is an important question. Hold on. Time out. So rape and incest are less than 0.5% of all abortions.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking if I just happen to be pregnant.
Oh, hold on, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's not like getting COVID.
I know how
okay?
it works. I know how it works.
You don't get the flu.
I know.
How about
but
this?
say
You
I got
take
pregnant.
responsibility for your orgasms and
What if
stop
that doesn't
eliminating
work?
people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this? Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking at them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two, if you play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're gonna go have sex,
So you're saying I
might-
should drop out of college to support my child
I'm
instead of supporting my life?
I'm saying if you're going to engage in coitus, in the practice of having children, you might end up with a baby. So know that. And guess what? You don't need to have sex before you get married. It's not like showering. It's not like eating.
Are you married?
Yes, with 2 beautiful children.
Wow, good for you.
I could tell you're not married.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Do you think we should be a Christian nation?
Well, of course. I mean,
Like officially?
officially, I mean, like through our documents. I am a believer in the U.S. Constitution, so no, I do not believe in a theocracy. No.
Okay. Then I guess that's it.
Got to get up on the mic. Oh, mic check, 1 2 1 2. All right, cool. Make sure everybody can hear me. What's going on, man? Doing all right? Welcome to Knoxville. I'm up here for one purpose. My buddy is a friend of yours. He lives up in White Pine, and he wants me to have this discussion with you because me and him had this discussion this weekend. What are your thoughts about reparations for Black people specifically, and like Black Americans specifically? What is your
Very much against.
Very much against. Can I ask why?
Well, first and foremost, I don't believe that we should ever pay monetary damages to people where nothing bad happened to them,
Okay.
just because
Okay.
they are related to a group of people where something bad happened to them.
Okay. So
Because it separates the idea. Let me just finish, and then I'll throw it back to you.
Absolutely.
Our justice system, when properly understood, is about individuals receiving justice, not tribes or groups receiving justice.
Also, I want to state that just because I am a black man, I do not speak for all black people. So I'm just. This
I
is me
like this
speaking
guy.
for-
You should give it up for him.
Just want to state that for the record. I'm speaking for myself. So, all right. So definitely hear you on that. And even for me, when it comes to reparations, for me personally, I don't believe that it should be a check. I think that reparations can look like many different things, whether it's like investment in institutions, more like, better schools, hospitals, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is like, so since you are against reparations, would you say that we should be would you be for outlawing inherited wealth? Does that make sense?
Well, that's, no, I'm not for outlawing
Okay,
that.
okay,
And
okay.
those are two different things.
Can
but
I
yes.
explain my point though? All right. So my point to that is that okay. So what I hear for the argument against reparations is that okay, black people today, obviously we weren't there, for slavery, segregation, all of that kind of stuff. So we've done nothing to deserve that because all the people who probably should have gotten it, actually not even probably who should have gotten it, are either long gone or whatever. Now there's still some who are still with us today, but that's a conversation for another day. But my point is that so inheritance and inherited wealth is something that the great grandfather whatever is passed down. Homeboy who is here today did nothing to deserve that multi-billion-dollar business, but he gets it because of his bloodline. Correct? Is that how it?
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
how
exactly.
inheritance works, right?
Yeah, no, like
So-
Bronny James is going to get $1 billion.
Right. Yeah.
You're
Oh, I
right.
mean, yeah. Sorry. Great example. So what I'm saying is that I guess what I'm trying to say is that I believe that reparations in and of itself, one, I don't think that the argument is formed right, and two, I believe that it's kind of a reverse inheritance, if that makes sense, where it's where it's yes, black people's like me personally, yes, I did not have to suffer through Jim Crow, slavery, or whatever, but all those choices that were made in those times have gotten necessarily me to where I'm at now.
Got
So
it.
it's
So let me tell you where we have a difference of opinion.
Okay, absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely.
So we as conservatives tend to underemphasize this idea of many legacies of suffering. Whereas people on the left, not saying you're on the left, but the other
I'm
perspective.
definitely not.
No, for sure. But that's fine. No, that's fine. Let's just say the other side of the argument tend to emphasize that you are stuck because of something that happened to you many generations prior. We believe, absent very unique circumstances in the United States of America, that is almost never true. For example, we think every individual should be judged by their own actions, their own character, and their agency. Now, let's play this out, though. You're acting as if, not you, but let's say the argument, because you're coming after this in a great way, there's been no money sent Black America the last 60 years. We have spent over $25 trillion on Black America in 60 years, and Black America's poorer than before we started. We're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, we're talking about schools, public housing. The issue is not the amount of money. The issue has instead been a couple things. Number one, it's been the downfall of the Black family. And unfortunately,
Yes, I agree with that.
yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the Black family. Just some numbers super quick. Is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of Black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%. So only 25%. So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. Black dads are no longer a big part of young kids' life. It's a very big problem that has huge ramifications. Then finally, on the reparations argument, that comes into just more concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War. So I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? Finally, it's how do you prove it? This is not your argument, but it's a hilarious contradiction. The very same people who tell you that voter ID is racist want all of a sudden Black America to prove that they're the descendants of slaves 7 generations ago. Let me go get my paperwork together. I thought it's racist to ask people for their paperwork. Anyway, the whole thing's crazy. But here's the more important thing that I think we can agree on. That we should have a opportunity colorblind compact. We need to have school choice in this country so kids can go to better schools and have more mobility. Number 2, reconstitute the Black family. And finally, this is one that you might agree on because you're not a liberal, is that we need to no longer import foreigners that are going to undercut the wages of workers of all races, especially black Americans.
I agree.
And so what we've done is we imported Nicaraguans and Guatemalans to come take low-wage labor, and we didn't want to pay our own Americans those jobs. So final thoughts on those points.
Also, great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think that I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society is something we should aspire to, but I think it's a farce to think that it doesn't exist, that race doesn't play a factor.
I totally agree.
Okay, and so
I will say it plays far less of a factor 10 years ago. It's playing more of a factor today.
Yes, I agree.
In a negative way.
Yes, I 100%. I mean, I think you had mentioned something about DEI like earlier, and I was like, for sure, like the way I agree with DEI in principle, but I think the way it's been instituted by our government and all the other institutions is completely wrong. So, because for me, it's not about seeing color; it's how you treat color. Does that make sense?
Everyone's going to see color. And
yeah, exactly,
you're right.
Yeah,
and so it's an ideal that is admirable, being colorblind.
Right.
The problem with what we were promised with the Civil Rights Act, we were promised a colorblind society. We now have a color-obsessed society. And it's a breakdown of that promise. Instead, the country I grew up in, at least, was like, yeah, you're black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person? How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings and fellow American citizens. Thank you so much,
Absolutely,
man.
No,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
One more, hey, can I get a hat from
Absolutely.
my buddy? Can I get a hat from my buddy? Appreciate it.
I'll get you too, right? Thank you, man.
Can I shake your hand, man? Appreciate you. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you, guys. Who's up? Disagreements? Yes.
Disagree.
Okay. How are you?
Hi. Yes. I don't know am I supposed to say my name or just?
You want to.
Okay. My name is Gigi. I guess I'm mostly on the side of disagreeing because I feel like I don't think that behind this presidency, I don't think that this country is headed towards a bright future. I don't think that under this presidency that we are going to stand united. I think that it is going to divide us even more, and that it is dividing us. And I also don't think that this presidency is built on a love of all people. I feel like whenever I hear Trump specifically talk, there are notions of not black people specifically, but people of color being seen as murderers and rapists, and it's specifically targeted towards brown people. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, my question for you is, do you think this country, or do you think that Trump is going to do the American public right in the overall of his presidency?
Yes.
Okay. Are you worried about the state of this country under his presidency when it comes to economic setbacks, when it comes to another Great Depression, when it comes to stocks going down, et cetera, et cetera? Are you worried that
No.
he is not going to do anything like that?
I don't have those concerns. And by the way, inflation's going down, and the price of eggs is going down, everybody, big time. But go ahead. I want you to thoroughly complete your argument, and then I'll say something.
Okay. I guess basically the point of my argument is, I think that President Trump, and I think that this country's view, especially when we're coming now into DEI and we're coming into defunding of Department of Education, we're coming to taking the Tuskegee Airmen out of being taught.
That has been reversed, just for the record.
Okay.
The Tuskegee Airmen.
But there's been multiple other things besides Tuskegee, but also the whole debate on critical race theory, teaching slavery in schools, teaching black history, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that are being targeted specifically when it took years and years to even get them in place. I think that this country is built on using the Bible, not even 100 years ago, to defame and to dehumanize black people. There has been use of the Bible specifically when people used to come into the church and talk about how slaves should obey their masters, and how that's what the whole relationship between white and black people were. I think that this country specifically has a lot of racist rhetoric that is built in that is not being targeted. I think
Got
that
it. So let's try to find
yes.
some common ground. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
Can you give me a definition of racism?
Racism in terms of, I will say, okay, before I
You
give,
use the term,
yes,
so I want to make sure we're
that's
talking
fair.
about the same thing. Is that cool?
Yes, that's fair. I will say that I will state that I am biased because I will be speaking as a black person specifically from the United States of America and not anywhere
nice.
else. But I will say racism is a discrimination against people of a minority that does not have a, okay, what is racism? Racism, without using the word,
Can't use the word racism.
Can't use the word. That's what I'm trying. A discrimination against a minority class of people in order to create an imbalance in the society or a hierarchy based on something that is undetermined as of color, race, the color of your skin, or maybe even color of your skin.
Can you be racist against Asians?
Yes.
Can you be racist against white people?
I believe that you can have prejudice against white people, but in the way that this country was built and the way that this country has been founded and the way that there are many laws that have taken place, specific like where you were talking earlier with the whole reparations debate, there are many legacies of white people in this country that...
Guys, just... Okay, let's just all take a breath. Gigi's talking.
Which I also would like, I feel like that kind of comes into, yes, we're not all from this country. This is a country of immigrants. This is a country of people from other countries.
So let me give you an example.
Yes.
If a group of black individuals, which happens unfortunately so often, say, we want to go beat up Whitey, and they go beat up a white person, was that a racist thing that they did?
I would have to ask for further context, but yes. Based off of that,
Cool.
yes.
So, but then let's go back to your definition, because your definition was that it had to be the exercise of power. I'm going to make your definition better for you,
That's
because
fair. That's
the
fair.
exercise of power against a minority group.
Yes.
But in that case, it wouldn't be, because it would be a group of black individuals versus a white individual.
Correct.
So wouldn't a better definition of racism be a human being or institution prejudicing or stereotyping against anybody else because of their race?
I do agree that is a better there's a better definition in terms of how racism is used in society, in terms of setting people behind not having equal amounts of opportunities in these institutions, specifically colleges, jobs, et cetera, hospitals. But that is my point. I feel like in this country, we don't talk about enough, and I think that under this presidency...
Don't talk about what enough?
We don't talk about the history and the impact of long-term racism in this country against minorities.
Can I just press pause?
Yes.
That's all we've talked about the last 5 years. I mean, but hear me out. 1619 Project. We have entire black dedicated channels on Pluto and Hulu and Netflix. We have reoriented the entire national dialogue towards, we had the President of the United States, Joe Biden, take a knee for Black Lives Matter, to have racial reconciliation seminars, to have non-stop race obsession. So I think we've talked about it thoroughly and properly.
So do you think that black people in this country have equal opportunity and are treated equally as white
Absolutely.
people?
So let me prove it to you, okay? So Gigi and Charlie. What can Charlie do that Gigi can't do?
Okay, I don't know anything. I don't really know much about you. I don't know
Based
like
on the
what
law.
you're capable of.
No, just
I
on
don't
the
know.
law. What am I allowed to do on the law that you are not allowed to do on the law?
On paper, nothing.
That's equal opportunity and
Yep.
equal treatment, right?
On paper, yes, that is true. Like, I was born under this country. I am a citizen of America. I am an American. I am a black American. I am a follower. I am a child of God. We all are. I 100% stand on that. But I think that basically what I'm trying to get at is I feel like in order for us to have these conversations and to keep having these conversations, we need to have a specific platform that we're able to meet each other on the common consciousness of this society. And I don't think we can have these conversations if we do not understand that black people specifically, because I really can't talk about Asians. I'm not Asian. I can't talk about other people of color. But black people in this country specifically have never had the opportunities to bring themselves back up. When you're talking about the destroyment of the black family, that also came with a big chunk of the Reagan administration, which was forever and whatever ago.
How is it the government's fault of why dads aren't around?
I mean, we could get into the whole, like, the rhetoric of crack babies and crack drug
got
dealers.
It. So, but isn't it a decision to take drugs?
Oh, no, 100%.
So, and it's a decision to commit crimes.
Yes.
Okay, so the government didn't do that to them. People decided to take drugs.
That's true. But do you feel like these populations or these communities have, in statistics, been overly populated by police officers?
Well, so you seem like a really sweet person. So I don't want to try to be too intense. So is that cool?
Go ahead.
What percentage of America is black? 13%, right?
Yes.
What percentage of the murders in America are committed by black people?
I don't know the specific statistics.
Guess.
It's 50%.
It's 60%.
60.
So maybe when you do 60% of the killings and you're 13% of America, more cops should be around your neighborhoods.
But there's no cops there's not an equal number of cops in the white suburban neighborhoods
Because
in the
there's
same
not as much
neighborhood.
murder.
The same neighborhoods that are controlling the like they have
But you look
cocaine in
at
their houses, but it's not treated the same.
And this is okay, Gigi, because it really is flushing out our different worldviews. You look at cops as if they're there to catch you and get you. We look at cops as they're there to protect and serve and help us.
And that's only because in this country, I mean, police used to be able to drag black people out in the streets and hose them down and sick dogs on them and tear them apart. And we never really had the conversation that where did we get away from that?
We definitely had the conversation.
Like,
after George Floyd, the whole country blew up under the conversation. Okay.
Yes, but it was a big standing on should cops be able to do this when a black person is murdered by police or at the hands of the police, the gun, bullet that came from a police officer's registered gun.
On average, how many times a year would you say a black person killed by police?
I mean, at one point it was happening
Unarmed.
at least. Okay, if it was happening at least last year, it was going on about. It was at least a month that it was a major case. But in terms of the average city, I don't know the average city.
Right?
I know though, but
so
in terms of what actually makes it to major media, because not everything.
It's the Washington Post's own database, left wing, 10 black individuals a year. So here's my contention.
Go ahead.
So you have a population that dads are not around, that is very, very murderous per population capita, that is very violent, more likely to be involved in gangs, and we, as conservatives look at that and we say, wait a second, like the problem is within the community. The problem is not the government. The problem is not the culture. The problem is not the history. Instead, really what needs to happen is black leadership, black pastors, and black dads need to go into the black community and say, we're better than this. Cut the killing, cut the violence. Do you know the most, one more point.
Go ahead.
Who is, outside of heart disease and all that, what is the number one killer of black people in America?
I know about like diabetes, but
fellow black people. A black person is far more likely to be killed by another black person than anything else. Black people are a greater threat to their own people than any other community. So it's not like white supremacists coming into these communities and they're mowing down. It's black on black gang violence.
But that's not okay. I just like to go back to something that you said earlier about like how it has nothing to do with the government. History of black people in this country has everything to do with the government. At one point, the government allowed and pushed and raised forced slavery. That was something that this government did. They made laws in the improvement of segregation. So in terms of the long history, you can't take out the fact that government has played a major institution.
Of course, government plays a role. But let's take you, Gigi. How did government? How did government? You gotta move over, man. You're blocking their view. Can you please move?
No, I'm good right here. I'm not disrupting anything.
You are. They can't see. You're blocking people. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but Gigi, let me. Yeah. All right. So, Gigi, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How did that legacy of slavery prevent you from getting to this school and having a great career?
I think that. Okay. I'm sorry. I got kind of distracted. Can you please restate your
So,
question?
Gigi, what I'm trying to do right now, I'm going to give you a warning, is prove that your own life experience is actually at odds with some of the things you're saying. Is that cool? So here you are at the University of Tennessee, correct? You're a student.
Yes.
You have the whole world as your oyster in front of you. You could study hard. You're going to graduate. You're going to do better than most people in probably the community you came from. Just guessing. I don't know your background, but based on how you're talking. How did the legacy of slavery get in your way?
I will say the legacy of slavery got in my way in the way that I am not a legacy child here. I would say that it got in my way in the way that my parents, my grandparents were not afforded the same, were not at one point even allowed to be on the property of this school. I think that that is one of the things that has gotten into this way.
But you're here. It didn't get in the way. So here's the attitude I want you to adopt, Gigi, and I'll close with this. Instead of just looking at everything in the past that's wrong and bad through a victim lens, say, you know what?
It's still going on. Okay.
One sec. Say, you know what? I'm an American, and I'm going to use my mental energy to say, despite all of that, I get to succeed and flourish and prosper as a black American at the University of Tennessee. You are a living embodiment, Gigi, that you can still succeed as a black individual.
I would just disagree from the simple fact that I feel like there are a lot of barriers, there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of prejudice just in somebody might look at me and not even assume that I could
How
even
do you
get
know
into
what they're
the
thinking?
universe. I'm not saying that I know what people I don't know what people
You just
are
said
thinking.
that.
I'm saying I can assume from prejudices that I know exist in this country.
Hold on a second.
even
I
in
got to
this
go
day
time out.
age.
And you know what? If you walk around here and you go see, this happens all the time, and you see a white boy with the short shorts and kind of acting all, you might say, he's only there because of his parents.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it happens a lot at these southern schools, right?
I mean, it happened. I mean, I was raised
So
in Michigan.
everybody has to overcome some form of bias, prejudice, or stereotyping. What's most helpful? Let's stop talking about it so much and talking about how we can apply ourselves to become better people and better citizens. Thank you so much, Gigi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am proud to be an American, and I think one of our greatest things about this country is the amazing wildlife and everything that we have, just the diversity of it across the country. Now, I find it really hard to agree. I find it really hard to agree that with Elon Musk about cutting, I believe it was 5,000 federal park workers whenever there are only 12,000 workers and they're already understaffed, and Yellowstone has over 1 million acres of land to care for. I feel like it's doing such a disservice to one of the greatest parts of our country to get rid of these people's livelihoods who take care of these places we love so much.
It's a good argument. I'm sympathetic towards it. However, you would agree that nobody is immune from getting fired.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
But I believe they should be fired based on their merit, not...
Well, fair enough. However, everybody in this audience that works in the private sector has had layoffs of either yourself or your friend where entire departments get deleted. You might be doing a great job, and companies might just say, we don't have the money. So I, too, have a soft spot for most park rangers. Most. Some are a little nutty. And you guys are right near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
So so I think you're making a good argument. However, what I like about what Elon is doing on this instance is we must realize we are going bankrupt. And you have to make hard decisions when you go bankrupt. Now, your counter argument is like, look, dude, it's 5,000 guys. It's not that big of a deal. True, but it sends a signal that we better be serious about cutting in every department, including the Pentagon, by the way. We should cut the defense budget as well because our nation is careening towards bankruptcy. So I just want you to understand from our perspective that nobody should be necessarily off limits from getting us towards a balanced budget.
I do understand that, but I think that it also sends a message that we as a country, or at least the government, doesn't support that sector as a part of stuff that the government should, like, enforce.
Fair enough. That's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Or
I do, yeah.
Really quick.
So, I'm curious what, who you think Elon Musk has in his best interest?
You.
Really?
You want to live in a country that has a balanced budget and the U.S. dollar reigns supreme. So let's look at the incentive structure. Why would the world's wealthiest man go do this? I want you to tell me what you think, and I'll tell you what I think.
I think it's because he is trying to get money for SpaceX, and he has proposed internally bills to get money for his corporation so that he can...
So let's pause. So far his net worth has gone down like $100 billion. So if his goal is to get wealthy, he's not doing great.
But he's asking our government for more money for SpaceX.
Well, he's asking for contracts to go do necessary things for the space fight. Now, I totally agree that there should probably be an independent review board. He's very close to the president. We got to be close to make sure there's no corruption there. I totally agree, even though I know both Elon and the president.
Okay. Respectfully, I'm going to disagree. I do want to ask, though, what is your opinion on trying to get rid of the two-party system in America? Because personally, I think that it, as a system, divides us more than anything.
I'm all for it. Democrats should abolish their party first, and then we'll go next.
Interesting.
I mean, yes, look, here's the problem. You're talking about the issue of permanency of factions. George Washington wrote about this extensively.
Federalist Papers, yeah.
Yeah, the issue is just eventually in a national system, you're going to be organized into two political parties.
Was it not Madison that said that?
Yeah, no, Madison and Washington. Washington warned about two things: permanent political parties and permanent alliances. Those are his two big warnings.
Okay.
I want to get to some other questions, though. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let me get to other questions. Running out of time. Who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Charlie.
How is I say AE Pie?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say.
I'm Sophie. I'm the president of Vols for Israel
Talk-
here.
talk
so
right in there, yeah.
I appreciate
God bless
you being
Israel.
here. Thank you. I listen to your podcast a lot. I agree with you on most things, but I have to disagree with you on comparing abortion to the Holocaust. Just because the Holocaust was such a uniquely designed genocide, and I think comparing it to anything else undermines both the tragedy of the Holocaust and the tragedy of abortion.
Okay, so it's a good point. However, you are right in one way. I'll agree with you on, and I think you bring a good point, that the design of the Holocaust was unique.
Mm-hmm.
It was about the extermination of a people. However, allow me to tell you where I'm coming from. Where are abortion clinics most likely to be found in America?
Black neighborhoods.
In black neighborhoods. There has, and the author and the charter of Planned Parenthood was a eugenicist.
Yeah.
She was such a eugenicist, she actually personally informed Adolf Hitler's views. Her name was Margaret Sanger. She wanted to use abortion as a depopulation movement to eradicate the black race. And she's doing a pretty good job of it. Black America has largely flatlined as a portion of the American population, right around 13%. So while I agree that there was a specific horror to the Holocaust, God forbid will never repeat, that there are some very common attributes that can be drawn to.
Thank you for your
Thank you, and God bless
response.
Israel. Thank you. Who's up? Who disagrees? Oh, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
My name is Danielle Adamo. I'm a freshman here. First of all, go Vols. I am not a liberal. I'm actually very independent. I come from a military family with conservative parents. Yep. Go military. I am here to ask not only you a question, but everyone in this audience a question, because personally, as America, I think that we are missing a lot of important conversations that need to be had as a country, because a lot of people are very concerned with abortion. A lot of people are very concerned with Mexican immigrants. But my question is...
Well, hold on. Illegal immigrants.
Yes.
Not all illegal
Okay,
immigrants are
yes.
Mexican. We
Yes,
don't racialize it. So happy to talk about that next. Yes.
How many abortions yearly did you say that there were in
Well,
America?
so if you count surgical abortions,
Yes.
it's about 1 million. But
Okay.
there's something called a chemical abortion, which is an
Yes.
at-home abortion. So it's probably closer to 1.8.
Okay, Okay.
8 million.
Okay, and do you know what percent or what number of that is from rape?
Yeah, it's less than half of 1%. And that's
Okay.
according to the Guttmacher Institute, which
Okay.
is a pro-abortion.
Okay.
So 99.9% of all abortions are for,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Pirate guy.
I
do
know,
not
yeah.
know who
Go
you
ahead,
are.
keep going. Don't let it phase you.
He's like a celebrity. Do you know how many women that's reported in the United States are raped and sexually assaulted? And another thing.
Just let her talk.
I-
Got it. Great. Thank you very much. Just stay focused. Just the more you talk, the less they'll talk. Yeah. you're
Okay.
good. How many are raped and sexually assaulted?
And another quick question.
Those are actually under prosecuted most times. So we don't know.
I don't believe that's true.
Well, no, most rapists don't get arrested. Would you agree?
Oh yes.
That's
sorry,
what I'm saying.
sorry.
Under prosecuted.
Okay, sorry. And are there also a lot of them aren't. Sorry, a lot of them aren't reported. Everyone is so concerned with the embryos and like abortions. What happens to those embryos if they are not aborted? They grow up and they happen to be women. What happens to them when they grow up and they get sexually assaulted? Because everyone here, I would like you to think mothers, sisters, friends, daughters. Have you or anyone that you've known been sexually assaulted? And if you're comfortable, please raise your hand, because I have.
Okay, but hold on. I just want to make sure. Your argument is that, therefore,
I
they
think-
should be aborted?
No, not at all. It's a comparison. It's fully a comparison. I'm not here to talk about that. I think that there are bigger
What is the question?
issues.
We're running out of time.
I think there are bigger issues in America right now than what the Trump administration is focusing on. Do you agree? Like, do you have daughters?
I have a daughter. Yeah.
You have a daughter? Okay. How would you feel if she was sexually assaulted?
I mean, obviously, pretty
Terrible.
awful. Yeah.
Terrible. Have you ever been sexually assaulted?
No.
No. Okay. Why do you not want to do anything to stop that?
Well, I do.
Like
I mean, it's
okay, but you don't talk about it. Neither does the Trump
Well,
administration.
hold on, no,
that's not a big problem that they have.
Hold on a
Even though
second.
I'm still talking, please.
they-
I'm still
they-
talking.
What are you,
please.
Kamala Harris?
I'm
Okay,
still-
stop. I mean,
no,
I'm
still
so.
talking, please. I wasn't
One second.
done, and you
no,
interrupted
I got your
me.
whole shtick.
I came up here with my full respect to allow you to talk, and you interrupted me.
You're
and
giving
I'm
a
asking for the
monologue,
same
not a
thing.
question. So please ask your question.
Okay. I think that there are more pressing issues than the Trump administration talks about. He talks about there's a lot more to it than what the Trump administration.
What
is
could be
saying,
more
which is very
pressing than nuclear war? No, seriously, we are on the verge of a nuclear war with Russia. What could be more pressing than that?
I agree, but
What could be more pressing than
I
having?
think that women being sexually assaulted on the daily in America is a bigger problem than abortions. Truthfully, I do.
Okay, I'm not gonna.
And if anyone like,
I'm not overly disagreeing, but
exactly,
also
exactly. That's
but-
my thing. Is do you think that there should be something done, put in place by the Trump administration to help women and men and everyone that are sexually assaulted? There needs to be something done.
There already are laws on the books. So I mean, I don't. What would you propose
And
to
it
be
still
done?
happens. And it's still, I don't know. I'm not the
Yes,
president. That's his job. That's his
No,
job.
it's not
Is
his
it
job to end sexual assault in America. That's never going to happen. Okay. And by the way, just so we're clear, it's a lot. We're talking about two different things. Rape is not the same thing as sexual harassment. It's not the same thing as sexual assault. Those are three different
I
things.
said both things.
But sexual assault could be something as going in for an unwanted kiss. Is that sexual assault?
Yes.
Whoa. So you think going in for an unwanted kiss is sexual assault? I thought you were talking about like something way more graphic.
Sexual assault is a branch of things.
Okay, so
I'm
hold on.
including. I'm mostly talking about rape and incest and like physical sexual assault.
Yeah, of course I don't support that. The president actually signed the Violence Against Women's Act. Like there's a lot there that you should look at.
Okay.
But most importantly is this. Reducing crime in the country is good for all people, women included. But I do have to stand up and just disagree on one thing. The overemphasis, though, on acting as if some drunk frat bro goes in for a kiss and you didn't want it, that he should be labeled as a sexual assaulter or a rapist is bad for everybody.
I never said that.
No, well, you did say it was sexual assault. I don't think going in for
Kissing someone. Sorry, you said going in, not like physically actually kissing someone.
like leaning in for an unwanted kiss and maybe delivering that kiss that the girl did not want. Is that sexual assault?
If it's done forcefully, then yes.
I mean, I'm sorry. I think that's like improper and wrong. I don't think the police should be involved in that. Do you?
No. When there's so many different.
You think the police should be involved in like a frat situation where they're both drunk and a guy goes in for a kiss and she didn't want it?
That's not what I'm talking about.
That is exactly what you're talking about.
I blatantly said rape, incest, physical,
Okay,
sexual
I agree with
assault.
all that. On that,
Okay.
we should do more on that. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
I'd like to talk to Johnny Depp here. No.
Sorry, matey. Sorry. All right. Ahoy, matey. Hello. Can everybody hear me? Everybody hear me? All right, so my question for you is, all right, so if a museum has a ship, right, and they replace all the parts in the ship while they're repairing the ship, and is that still the same ship? Or alternatively, if they went and took the original parts, put them all back together into another ship, which is the original ship?
Is this your job?
No, not quite. More of a hobby, you know, more of a hobby, like golf.
How do you feed yourself? Like, how do you sustain yourself?
Oh, you know, lots of plunder, you know, all that.
So this is your shtick. You go around and do this?
A bit of a hobby, you know. I run a club, you know. The people love it.
Your little pin there says abortion pills by mail. Tell me more about that.
Oh, no, I don't care to talk about that. I care to talk about the ship of Theseus, matey. Which one is the ship of Theseus? That is my real question.
So you've made your point?
Well, like what point? Like, I'm asking you a question.
I'm not tracking it, but to explain to me, though, like, so you go to college campuses and just do this entire thing?
No, I go here. I go here.
Oh, you go here.
I'm a student.
Oh.
So yeah, like ship of Theseus. Or what if I put it to you in a different way? So let's say a pirate captain, you know, like he gets all of his limbs blown off and they get replaced with peg legs, you know, like over time you have a whole new pirate, right? So hypothetically, like if you put the original parts of the pirate back together, which is the captain of the ship?
We're not going to waste any more time on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, matey. Hold on.
Thank you. Nice flag.
Thank you. Water bottle now? Yeah, thank you. So, I have two questions. My first one is, if Jesus fed people for free, taught people for free, and healed people for free, why don't we do the same?
Churches should.
Churches should? Okay. But why can't we do that on a more systemic level through government programs? Hey, maybe private companies with all of their record profits. Why hasn't Elon put up some of his own private money to help end homelessness?
Because homelessness is not a money problem.
Homelessness, tell that to homeless people then.
I have. I say, you know what? Almost every single one of them has either mental problems or drug disorders. It is not a matter of lack of capital. It's that they should either be in an asylum or they're doing hard drugs and they don't want to stop. We have homelessness.
Asylums that Ronald Reagan defunded? There are asylums that Ronald Reagan
Yes, if we want to talk about bringing back asylums, I'm all for that. I have an entire political party I would put in an asylum.
Okay. Then we... All right. My second question is about Mahmoud Khalil. He was a legal immigrant with a green card, with a wife and a baby on the way, exercising his free speech rights. So my question is, if legal immigrants aren't safe, then who is?
American citizens.
But he is a green card holder here legally.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Yes. He's not a U.S. citizen.
How does it not matter?
Read the Immigration Naturalization Act. What Mahmoud Khalil did was he went and protested, celebrating the death of Jewish babies, celebrating Hamas in Gaza, and under the Immigration Naturalization Act, it says very clear the Secretary of State can deem somebody who has a green card or a temporary visa holder as a threat to the United States of America and against our geopolitical interests, of which Mahmoud Khalil did and is, and he can go make Turkey great again and go back to his country of origin.
He's from Palestine, not Turkey.
Well, he jumped around the Middle East a lot. But the point being, do you believe that being here in America here is a right or a privilege?
Is a right and a privilege.
You have a right to be here?
Yes, I believe anybody has a right to movement to wherever they want.
So you would get rid of all borders?
Yes.
So when you land from an international flight at JFK Airport, no passport checks?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you for so bluntly telling us your view.
I'm a dirty commie, so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, that would be my third question. What is your definition of socialism?
Well, in the theoretical, the abstract, or the practical?
Take your pick.
So socialism, as written by Marx, is when the workers own the means of production.
Exactly.
In the actual practical, it's when a small group of very powerful, pernicious people are able to control the rest of the population under the guise of helping the many, when in reality it helps the few, and you get dictatorship, murder, and slaughter, and the revolution never actually comes.
Okay.
It ends in 100 million people dead over the last 100 years.
What about American companies that function as worker cooperatives, which are effectively socialism in practice?
That is partially some of the tenets of Marx. Of course it is. Like Publix grocery stores in Florida.
Okay. So you're in favor of worker cooperatives then?
Yeah, if it's done voluntarily. That's the key.
Yeah, exactly.
I
would agree.
For example, in a church, if you go to a church and everyone says we're going to go share this meal, that's a voluntary cooperation. But socialism is not hinged on voluntarism. It's using a gun. It's by force you must be part of this. By force you must give us your money. By force you're going to be part of our cooperative. Voluntarism is something we all support. It's when you start to use the heavy hand of the state that we start to object it.
I agree. I'm not here to defend Cuba, China, the USSR, or any of that.
Or Vietnam, or
No.
Laos, or Cambodia,
So,
or Rhodesia, or Zimbabwe.
so basically, if we can agree that voluntary worker ownership of the means of production
If they so choose.
Okay.
It can work. It also can fall apart. There's plenty of instances where it does. Because the problem is that the incentive structure sometimes for innovation with voluntary cooperatives is not always very strong or robust. But
No.
yes, in a market, you're allowed, for example, I have no problem with the Amish living the way they do in Pennsylvania.
Neither do I.
Yes, however, I do have a problem saying we're going to force you to live like the Amish. That's where we disagree.
No, I agree
Well,
with
I'm
you.
saying, but where socialism has played out over the last 100 years.
Yes, some people have interpreted socialism
Yes, but
that way, yes.
so for you as a true socialist, you should go get a bunch of your buddies and friends, go out into the countryside and go live as socialists. See how long you last.
Would you be in favor of tax cuts and loopholes to people who want to start a worker cooperative and exist as a worker cooperative in a market?
I mean, I would give tax cuts for all people, but if they want to do that voluntarily in a market economy, knock yourself out.
Okay, so we've agreed.
I think so. But here's the point. The question, will you, though, as a socialist, go out and live your value system? Will you go and, say, hey, I'm not going to own any stuff. 10 friends of I are going to we're going to grow our own
There's
food.
a difference between personal property and private property when it comes to socialist theory.
Okay, but
personal property is things like your toothbrush, your clothes. I would even go so far as to say your house.
Can I have two houses?
It depends.
It depends.
That's a
So if
very
I have a second house,
complicated
you might just
question.
take
That's a
it
very
away.
complicated question that I necessarily don't really have an
it's
answer
not
for
that
you right now.
complicated. If you earned it, you get it. Not complicated. That's our view, right? You get what you earn. And the problem with socialism is that it is against my favorite word in the English language, earn. We believe that you should be able to receive what you earn.
No, I agree with you. As a socialist, I think you should be able to keep what you earn. Marx's critique was of the hyper-wealthy stealing the wages of hard-working people who are trying to earn.
Let me tell you what Marx got right, and then let me tell you where I think he was wrong, because I've actually read and studied Marx. Marx is correct that market forces can alienate people from their humanity. That he was very right about that. Yep. And you walk into like your average corporation, sometimes it's like the most soulless place you ever walk into. What he was wrong about, though, was the state of human nature. That we believe humanity, we as conservatives and Christians, were generally not so good as human beings. Marx believed humans were really good and that we're being polluted and contaminated by the societal forces around us. Racism, misogyny, capitalism, all these forces are caused. So we have to strip down all of these external forces, and we'll be able to live as in wonderful harmony in the hills.
And I would agree with that.
Okay, and so that's where we think that's insane, that human beings are naturally good. Secondly, the idea of...
Wait.
Yeah, we think...
Marx saying that he wasn't saying that people are naturally good once you remove all these things. The fact that racism, sexism, all these other isms exist is proof of the fact that humans, yes, do have a tendency towards evil, bad behavior.
Well, that's not what Rousseau believed. So Rousseau was the foundational baseline for Marx, right? So
Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Yeah, Rousseau. So Rousseau was the one who argued that it's human beings that are naturally good, and we don't have a proclivity towards this stuff. And what we will agree is that there is a problem with widespread alienation of human beings in market forces. It's a big problem.
Yeah, and
It's
people
the biggest,
are alienated by capitalism.
But not definitionally. Some people find a lot of purpose in their work, though. That's where I disagree with Marx.
Sure.
Is that some companies are able to create robust environments where people are happy and they're connected. It's not a fault of the system. It's a fault of some applications that happen in the system.
Okay, then we just disagree on our interpretations of Marx.
So
then.
I guess the final question, though, is you, as a socialist, can you point to a single time where this theory worked?
The Zapatistas in Mexico in 1991 when NAFTA went into effect.
How long did that last?
To this very day. It is still a region today.
And they don't own anything?
They collectively own their property.
Okay, I have to look at that example. I mean, I would point to the
Zapatistas, Rojava in Syria is an autonomous zone that has existed autonomously in spite of the Syrian civil war that's been going on. And again, I would point to American and other businesses in other countries that function as worker cooperatives. That's socialism at work. Granted, they are in a capitalist.
We would say it's voluntarism. Yeah.
They are in a capitalist market.
How do you reconcile the Soviet Union, Chinese Communist Party, Pol Pot? How do you reconcile the failures of socialism the last 100 years?
I just disagree with their interpretation of socialism. I don't think that you should wield authoritarian power in order to force people into socialism.
So here's what we believe, and we'll close on this. Every time it will be tried at scale, a very bad person will assume control under the guise of socialism and become a permanent dictator.
I disagree with the at scale. I would argue that our modern library systems are also examples of socialism.
Wrong.
You literally come.
Someone's in charge.
I can literally walk into Hodges Library over here, check out a book for free, and they trust me to come
First
bring
of all,
it back.
it's not free. Someone paid for that book. It's called the taxpayers, so it's not free. The building has to be built. Someone has to pay for the plumbing and pay for the electricity, pay for the heating. Someone has to pay for the workers. Number two, if there is a disagreement within the library and you steal the book, what happens? You don't check out in the right process. You have an overdue fine, so there's a cost to it. You see, the library is actually a very capitalist system because if you don't rewind the old VHS
there's some
tapes...
librarians who say that overdue fines actually don't even work and they don't even provide really good incentive
nevertheless,
for people to
they
bring
still
back their
exist.
books.
But the point, if you would say the library is a hallmark of socialism, the librarian is still in charge. I'm going to get to the next question. Thank you very much. Appreciate for your time. Thank you. Who's up next? Who disagrees? Yep.
Charlie, how you doing this afternoon? I am proud to be conservative. I'm proud to be an American, and I think we would agree on most things. But one thing that I'm here to dispute you on is
Israel?
Trump's executive order to overturn birthright citizenship.
Oh, okay.
Which you posted on X 2 months ago that the Supreme Court has never reviewed the 14th Amendment regarding birthright citizenship.
Not correctly yet.
Have you heard of Wong versus Kim Ark?
Yeah,
or
it's
Wong
a
versus
BS
America. What about
I'm drawing from a lot of memory on this, so I'm going to have to plead a little bit of
That's fine.
memory erosion.
I have a shallow understanding. But both of those cases ruled that regardless of national origin, the children of immigrants will become U.S. citizens. It is
not just the children of immigrants. It's not just that.
The exception for diplomats.
The children of visitors become U.S. citizens.
Right, and
so for example, a pregnant woman can leave China who's 8 months pregnant, get a 90-day visitor visa, and then her baby becomes a U.S. citizen.
How is it being implemented now? If you come here illegally, your children are what? What are they?
They become U.S. citizens.
And that's the Supreme Court precedent. So the executive order to overturn it is illegal.
No, it's very much legal. It's challenging the prior Supreme Court decision. But let's go back to my example. You can fly to China and literally just come here as a visitor, show up at a hospital, and they will give you a U.S. passport, and your kid becomes U.S. citizen. You understand we are one of the only countries in the industrialized world that has birthright citizenship.
And I'm proud to be that. We are a country of immigrants. See,
no, we're not. No. We're a country of settlers, not of immigrants.
Okay.
That's a big distinction. Let me tell you the difference. Settlers are people that build a new country that was barren. Immigrants come to a country already built. The people who built this country, they went west to an unconquered, barren country and built a new society. Immigrants helped enrich it. They helped grow it upon that. But the foundation of America were settlers, not immigrants. That is a talking point that is overused.
We have no
way too much.
unifying religion, no unifying race, no unifying national origin. But what we do share is that if you were born on the soil, you have an inherent birthright to the benefits of American citizenship. And when you
And that's a huge mistake.
And that's a huge mistake. So you disagree with 200 years of precedent.
Yes.
Have you read what was discussed during the
The
passage
founding
of the
fathers,
14th
first and
Amendment?
foremost, never wanted all of a sudden a pregnant woman to be able to get on. They didn't have airplanes back then. Go across the ocean, and all of a sudden they become a U.S. citizen.
Those who drafted the 14th Amendment did.
Yeah, the 14th Amendment was in what year?
1866.
Yeah, exactly. Way past the founding era.
So you don't
Number
agree
two,
with
no, the 14th Amendment was largely applicable to free slaves.
I understand that was a purpose, but it has
14th
also been extended to those who come here
Exactly. No,
illegally.
you're right. It has been wrongly extended. You know the 14th
By
Amendment?
the Supreme Court.
Exactly, and they got it wrong. Just like how they got Roe versus Wade wrong, and we got that repealed. The point being is the Supreme Court can get things wrong. The idea, it's very simple. It's that if you think you can just get on a Delta Airlines flight from Paris and all of a sudden your kid becomes a U.S. citizen, that devalues the meaning of what it is to be a citizen.
Should we hold the children who do not choose to come here accountable for their parents' actions? There are some countries that...
Well,
like,
if you're already a citizen, you're a citizen. We're not going to revoke what's
Right, but
already
once
happened.
if it becomes overturned, do we want to create second-class citizens who aren't a citizen of another country?
Yes, they're citizens of another country. Go back to your own country.
Except if they come from India, they come here and a child is born. That child is not a citizen of
Correct.
India, nor would they be a citizen of here. Then you have
No, they
ghost
are a
citizens.
citizen of India. That's not
They're
true.
not.
Yes, they are. The parents are Indian citizens, and that's how it works in India, is that the citizenship goes to the parents. So that's the point, is that they can go back to their own country, and they can go live in India.
So the children should be deported as soon as they're born here?
Yes, with their parents, absolutely.
You don't think that we should give them... we shouldn't encourage them to become productive members of
No.
American society?
No.
Do you believe in the American dream?
Yes, of course, for American citizens, not for every person around the planet.
I agree. I think we all agree.
Yes, it's not our job to open up our borders to every sad story around the planet.
Exactly, the adults, but the children did not choose to cross the border. They did not choose to come here.
Okay.
They have been placed here.
Exactly, so don't punish them by separating the mom and dad. They can all go back to their country of origin. It's very simple.
But that's not the law. That's not how it's been. Do you think that would be
hold on,
productive for American society?
Hold on, that's the interpretation of the 14th Amendment. We're talking about two different things. We're talking about birthright citizenship, and then we're talking about kids that are crossed when they're already born. The point being is this, and President Trump's executive order is phenomenal. It goes back to this very basic question. What does it mean to be a citizen? And we're throwing around citizenship like Frisbees every day. You're a citizen, you're a citizen, you're a citizen. And it dilutes the meaning of the citizen, of what it means to be a U.S. citizen. We need to bring it back to actually say, hey, you have to earn your citizenship. You are not given your citizenship.
So the children who... A child doesn't choose to be born between someone who comes here illegally and someone who is already a citizen. That person did not choose that. There's no accountability.
Yes, and there's
in that
kids
action.
in Namibia that didn't choose to be born in Namibia.
Exactly.
It's not our
But that's
concern
the
to
great
import
thing
them.
about America is that by being here, you offer them the extension for the
See,
opportunities.
I
that are
disagree.
associated
I
with
think
American
that
citizenship.
I think on the surface it's a great thing about America. I think it's us having generosity being turned into compromising our values used against us. At times, generosity can turn into an overindulgence. You could become too generous, where you are borrowing money that you don't have. We're doing that. Where you're giving citizenship where it dilutes. Yes, we are a generous nation, and our virtues have become our vices.
What does it dilute? What does a child being born here having birthright?
You know what? You know what it
What
dilutes?
does that take away from us?
It first of all,
They pay taxes.
First of all, number one, it dilutes a lot.
What does it dilute?
Can I get to it? Dilutes a lot. Number one, it dilutes legal immigrants that are full adults that had to apply to come
And
here.
I agree. So we should stop illegal immigration.
Well,
but
no,
there will
legal.
always be
I
some.
said legal
I
immigration.
agree.
Right. Number two is that I actually want the idea of being a U.S. citizen, that you are here or born here because your parents did something to allow you to be here. Not just that you got on a nonstop flight from Seoul, South Korea, and you happen to fall and your water breaks and you're suddenly a U.S. citizen. It devalues the entire meaning of what it means. Everybody here has a unique story of what your parents did for allow you to live in this country. That's called a social compact. Some of you guys, your parents came here, and your ancestors came here in the 1700s. Some of them came here in the early 1900s. But if all of a sudden you can gain entry and cut in line, it dilutes the sacrifices primarily of the greatest generation from World War II that allowed us to live here, and it is an insult to them to say that we can live in a free society. I want to get to the next question. Thank you very much.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So, my name's Gavin. I'm a junior at UT.
Go ahead.
On a scale from like 1 to 10, how would you rate Trump 2.0, his second term, so
10.
far?
10.
10. Absolute 10. All right. So I'm going to try to convince you he's a pretty corrupt president, and that this term has been a disaster so far.
I've probably
So-
heard every argument. So
right,
go
sure.
fast.
So like, I'll try to speed run it, be really quick. So, Trump coin, how do you feel about that?
Nah.
Yeah. So you have no issue with him pushing a cryptocurrency rug pull that scammed a lot of his supporters, because a lot of the people who benefited from that were like people who were really into the crypto scene who took advantage.
I know a lot
of
of people that made money on it too, so I just kind of meh.
Right, so you don't have any issue with it. It's just
Meh.
whatever happens, right? So that's a big crazy to me. I mean, it's
the dude was shot. Let him sell a coin.
but it's a scam, right? I mean, it's fraud.
I mean, I know a lot of people that
Right?
made money on it.
Right, and a lot of people lost money too, right?
It's investing, but yeah, that's trading. So
Yeah, but
Next-
should the president be promoting that? A trading game?
Well, first of all, he wasn't yet the president when he promoted it. but
He was
yes.
about to be though, right?
He was
elected.
He was president-elect. Next question.
Right,
Next
okay.
point.
So, how do you feel about? Gosh, here, give me a second. Hold on.
Is that all you got? Is the coin? So you asked how's Trump
So
2.0?
like an ad read.
Let me
How
let me
about-
let me
let's
tell
see.
you. Let me
No, no.
interject. Here's why I think the Trump administration is going so well. Everybody, during the election, we made the border a major issue, and Joe Biden said, "There's nothing I can do to close the southern border." 10,000 people a day were coming across the southern border. Now it's 200 people a day, and none of them are coming into the interior of the United States.
Right,
We have a
okay.
border for the first time in all-time record low. Everybody.
And
So,
also,
did you
too,
gather your thoughts?
Cool. So day one, we're ending the Russia-Ukraine war, right? It's over, right? Done.
Well, I mean, we're
ending
working on it.
Day one, right? Day one. It's over.
It does
right,
take time.
but he did say day one, didn't he?
He also said early in his administration, but
And
fair
so
enough.
we don't have any issue with him arguing with Zelensky in the White House in a pretty disgusting manner, right? You don't have any issue with him siding
No,
with
I
Putin,
think he was awesome
right?
in the Oval Office.
But it's a bit gross, don't you think?
Yeah.
And don't you think it's
So-
a bit gross to cut Social Security?
He's not cutting Social Security, but honestly, like if there's
But
by the way,
Elon Musk is advocating for
but
it, right?
if there is a
His closest
200-year-old
advisor?
person getting Social Security, I want to meet that person.
They're not. They're not. I mean,
No,
you can just do the math.
No,
you can just do the math.
They are
right?
actually, but it's not them. It's
They're in a
somebody who's-
database, but they're not getting the benefits.
It's somebody. Obviously, it's somebody else who's getting it on their behalf. It's a fraudulent
But has
Social
that been
Security check.
proven, though? I don't think there's any evidence
No,
of that.
it's proven. It's in the Social Security Administration books.
Well, it's in the database, but there's no proof that they're
No,
getting
the
money.
money is being sent out.
I
So
don't
let me
think-
ask you a
I don't think
question.
that's been proven.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
What is one thing you think Trump has done well?
Okay. I'm trying to think. I'm putting honest effort in. He did unban TikTok. That was.
Okay,
neat.
we agree.
No, I'm kidding. I actually don't like TikTok.
Let me close with this. I got a next question.
Okay.
Every person who's intellectually honest should be able to look at a president, whether they like or dislike, and say they've at least done one thing well. I encourage you to be able to do that.
I know, but
Thank
like,
you very much.
You don't have any issue with this. Like,
Thank you.
limiting free speech?
Hey, Charlie. Before I get into my question, I just wanted to say I really appreciate your rhetoric on Jesus today. I'm a practicing Catholic, and that's a really important thing to me, so I think it's awesome that you're talking about that and incorporating that into your movement. And even though I'm a practicing Catholic, I'm not going to ask a question about Israel. You don't have to worry.
It's almost always Catholics, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. But anyways, let me pull it up real quick. So Charlie, earlier this year, while doing your show with Michael Knowles, you labeled Pope Francis as a Marxist. Many Catholics, including myself, not only found your claim to be very disrespectful, but also baseless. As you know, Marxism is a revolutionary ideology. It promotes class warfare, economic collectivism, and atheism. And in contrast, Francis advocates for social unity. He's in favor of a market economy, albeit a regulated one, but his views are like JP2's. And he also advocates for the integration of Catholic social teaching into society. And while he is left-leaning on immigration and climate change, he also opposes abortion, gender ideology, and gay marriage, putting him directly at odds with Marxist political theory. And then additionally, in 2022, he explicitly stated that Catholicism and Marxism are incompatible. Given this, will you recant your claim that Pope Francis is a Marxist? And if you will not, please explain why you still believe that Pope Francis
No, I don't
is a
want to spend too
Marxist.
much time on this. Again, it's
Okay.
not me. I mean, Taylor Marshall and many other top Catholics have talked about
Well-
his. You don't.
Well, Taylor Marshall, he's a set of a contest. I don't
even know what that means.
He doesn't
Here's the
believe-
point.
yeah.
I'm not going to go debate the Catholic thing very well. All I know is this: I know that he comes from liberation theology. You agree?
I would say he has been influenced by it, but he's not a liberation theologian. He's only been.
Yeah. So this is where I don't want to spend the whole. I don't think this is a top concern for the audience.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to recant because I don't have to. I'm not a Catholic.
Yeah, I know.
So, and I don't really care if you were offended, right? Because I'm not a Catholic. So,
Yeah,
and I
but-
love Catholics, and I actually defend Catholicism every day, and I, meet with fellow, priests in my area, and I love them. They're actually agreed with me when I said the Marxist thing. You will know more about it than I will. I'm just going to point you to other Catholic thinkers that have made that accusation. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I get a hat?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Hello.
Hi, Charlie. Before I voice my opinion, I just want to say that you speak so strongly from a point of ethos instead of pathos, and I can't help but really admire that. I mean, you're such a strong speaker. So I'm a freshman here at UT studying a brand new major at this school, which is artificial intelligence. And I know you believe heavily in the concept that college is a scam, but my question is, if AI is soon to be a $1 trillion industry, doesn't it make sense for an American student like me to spend time in college studying it and later lead in the field?
So you're probably right. I'm interested, what are you studying the application of AI? How
It's
to
a lot
code AI? Tell me about it.
It's mostly code, but we're also learning about the ethics of it and like how it can apply to any job. In the industry.
I love that. So explain to me at the University of Tennessee, can I press pause? I love the AI discussion because it's going to flush out ethical arguments immediately. It is. It is going to force the greatest question of what is a human being, what is right, what is wrong. So I'm curious, at the University of Tennessee, what do they consider to be ethical?
So it's a lot to do with like how that can be implemented in the law as well. So I'm learning like what, especially in the education system, I mean, everyone uses it. So I'm just curious to see like how it can be just.
I think that's a good use of your time. I will say this, I mean.
I'm just curious on your opinion.
I think it is. This is my broader thing on AI. 95% of what all of you guys are studying, AI is going to take your jobs in the next 5 years. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
And so when I say college is a scam, all of you guys are going to be out of a job in 10 years. And by the way, you might find new jobs. AI is moving way faster than you realize. The applications are way deeper. They are way more serious. Would you agree? I mean, you're studying
I
this.
absolutely agree with you.
And so going to study AI actually is a good use of your time.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
And everybody, you need to press your professors this question. Why am I here if an AI is going to replace me in 5 years? If they can't answer this question, you are wasting your time being here at the University of Tennessee. Your jobs will disappear in 5 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who's up? Yes.
Hi, Charlie. How are you? Good. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna give a little bit of a backstory on myself. I'm Jaden Clark. I'm a student here. Freshman year, I was hate crime 5 times in one night. Okay, 3 of them by Trump supporters.
What happened to you?
Okay, for one of them, I was just walking, and then I see this truck full of 4 white men pass by me, MAGA apparel, everything, you know. And then.
Did they say this is MAGA country?
Anyways, they drove past me and they were like, "You bend over."
Okay, so they said the N-word on campus to you.
Well, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. So what happened to them when you reported them?
I didn't report them.
Oh really? Okay. So maybe it didn't happen.
Okay. Anyways,
I don't believe you. I'm being honest. I don't believe you. I think
Okay.
you're making it up.
Okay. Anyways,
I refuse to believe that somebody on this campus would go around and sheepishly call you the N-word. I refuse to believe that. I think you're lying.
Anyways, next instance, they threatened to rape me and then just drove off.
Hold on. So a bunch of Trump guys who are largely white heterosexual males then also threatened to rape you?
Different group of people, but yes.
All in one night?
All in one night, sir.
I think you're making this up.
Okay, that's fine.
But what evidence do you have for this? Do you have like corroborating witnesses? Do you have cameras? Do you have license plate numbers? Because now we're talking about crimes. Threatening to rape you is an intent of a crime. Did you go to the police? You file a police report? You hire an attorney? You sue the school? Did you go to the civil rights office? Do you file a civil rights complaint? Did you do any of that? Because you should.
Okay.
No, did you? Tell me. Yes or no?
I did not. But
Why?
I'm not going to argue with you.
No, but
on
you're coming in front of
experiences.
2,000 people to say it. Why did you
Right.
not go to the university and say this happened?
Okay, because how would I report them?
Anyone. There's
Who would I
hotlines all over this campus. You guys have nothing but like, if something happens to you, I think you're making this up. I think you're doing this to try to make a point.
Okay.
I don't think there's any evidence.
I can promise you, God as my witness, I am not. Anyways.
No, but seriously, why don't you today commit? Let's do this. I'm going to show you the university official, and why don't you go file a Department of Education complaint, and let's find these terrible people that did this to you. Can we agree?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll think about
and by
that.
the way, we'll be able to look at security camera footage, and we'll see.
Okay, I'll think about that.
But you didn't do that.
Can I try
though.
to finish?
You'll think
I'm
about
not-
it. Hold on. Why wouldn't you want to do that immediately?
Can I talk?
No, but you're making a serious accusation. Please,
And I'm not going to argue with you about my personal experiences. Anyways.
It didn't happen, man.
Okay, that's cool. Anyways, I feel like every time I step foot on this campus, I have a wall of vitriol and hate at my back. And to the audience, I say to you, these are your fathers, these are your siblings, and these are your neighbors. So y'all need to clock them. And I hate overgeneralizing, but I'm not gonna say all Trump supporters are racist, but a good amount. Anyways, my question to you is, if you had one message to say to these people with the hate in their hearts, what would you tell them?
I would tell you to stop lying.
What would you tell them? Not to me.
No, honestly, I think you're Jussie Smollett at this campus. I think you're completely making this whole thing up. I think you are a complete liar because I am now giving you an opportunity to report this at the high. I will bring this to Linda McMahon, the head of the Department of Education, the federal government. I will make sure these people are arrested by Kash Patel, the head of the FBI. And you'll say, oh, I'll think about it. Because you're making this up. You're doing this for a political purpose. So will you, no, seriously, Kash Patel will get involved. Yes? It's a hate crime. That's not acceptable. Okay. Well, hold on. No, will you do this or not?
That's really cute, Charlie, but I'm trying to give you the opportunity to alleviate hate within this group of people who have a shared ideology.
But hold on a second. There's no hate. There's just love of America here in this audience. That's all that's here today, okay? That's all that's here. But back to you. I heard your accusation. I'm now going to go to the University of Tennessee and tweet this and say, hey, this is a serious accusation. I want the governor to get involved, by the way. Okay. The governor's getting involved. I'm going to call Marsha Blackburn. I'm now going to call Big Haggerty. I know all these people, and we're going to find out really quickly if you're telling the truth or not, because you just came in front of 2,000 people, and we're going to go bring in the police. We'll bring in the FBI, because what you just said is unacceptable. You said Trump supporters called you the N-word. That is no place in America, and they threatened to rape you. That is no place in America. But you know what else is no place in America? Lying and saying it happened to you. So we'll find out really quick if you're telling the truth or not.
That's cool, but like, can you answer my question though? If you...
My message to everyone in the audience, keep loving America.
Okay.
But
what about loving your neighbor?
Just so you know, this is going to become a very big issue. We're going to put this on social media because nowhere in America should you be allowed to go in front of a microphone with no evidence, no willingness to report, no likelihood to talk to police and say, oh, this happened to be at night, and ruin the reputation of half the country and say that they wanted to go rape me and call me the N-word. That is gross.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You'll be hearing from a lot of institutions, and if you did indeed lie, you will be civilly liable for smearing this university publicly for a very big number. We'll find out if you're telling the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really cute. Make sure you add me, Jaden Clark.
I will. Thank you. Hope you have a good lawyer. Thank you. And I want you to understand the implications of this. No one has had the stones to stand up to this stuff for years past. And so many innocent people have been drugged into this crap saying that all the white people are coming after me. I don't believe it. It's wrong, and we're putting an end to it. Yes.
Hi, Mr. Kirk. How are you? Sorry, how are you? Okay, so I'm a practicing Christian and I'm a conservative. And just for context, I come from a suburb of Chicago where Downers Grove, and then before that, Lake Forest.
My mom grew up there.
Really?
You go to Downers Grove North or South?
Yeah, I went to high school there.
That's amazing. So did my mom. That's great.
Well, so it actually kind of took a turn. So a lot of people in my grade, they're like gender fluid, and people are renaming themselves to Bumblebee and Galaxy, and the neighboring school has litter boxes in the bathrooms. So I found that in classes, I've had to kind of fake having liberal beliefs in order to obtain good grades. And even here, I'm in that philosophy class that the other girl was talking about, and our professor is telling us that Elon Musk is a neo-Nazi. And in my sociology class, we're learning that gender is a choice and it's a spectrum.
Here at University of Tennessee?
Yes, sir. Yes.
How many of you guys think this place is too liberal? Raise your hand. I think that this school should start to get defunded unless they start kicking out CRT and gender. Who agrees that we should defund a lot of this? You guys agree? Oh, they're going to love me after this. By the way, we have this great crowd. All these professors that are pushing this stuff, fire them all and defund this place and teach the basics. We're running out of time. Thank you.
So can I ask
really
a quick
quick
question? Yeah. So I just was wondering, what's your advice for people who are Republicans but are having to kind of cover it in order to get a good grade and pass their classes?
So I'll answer that, then I really have to wrap. We're running late. Number one, you have a choice. You guys can lie and get a good grade. Fine. Number two, though, I think that hurts your soul. Number two, though, You guys can tell the truth, and then your grade will be put in jeopardy. But guess what? You'll become a stronger person of higher character, and you'll live a better life if you guys decided to. I think that's the better path. Thank you. Yes. Anyone have a disagreement? No? All right. Last question. And then we'll do all the hats. Okay? Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
So,
Final question.
So my question is, I've seen a lot of things that Donald Trump has said on X and just everywhere. He keeps saying that people are illegally boycotting Tesla, and I've been looking for answers, but I haven't really.
Well, they're
seen anything,
firebombing.
So, okay.
So they're like smashing windows, putting in Molotov cocktails, things like that.
Okay, so he's not talking about like.
No, not boycotting.
Okay.
Actually smashing the windows and
Okay,
stuff.
cool. I also have a card to,
All right.
for, to
You can give it to one of them.
Okay. Can I also have a signed hat
Yes,
by you if that's okay?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Everybody,
And a
keep
hat
fighting for
someone else.
freedom, and together we're going to make America great again. Thank you, guys.